Hello and welcome to the Bad-Rockin Podcast. I am your host, Leo, also known as Odd Pumpkin, and with me is my trusty co-host, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Good to be back.
And with us today is a great guest from the Extreme Universe community, Mr. Rob Messick himself.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? Glad to be here, actually.
Yeah,
Cool.
I've been following your blog for a good while on Blue Sky, and anyone who hasn't checked it out, I mean, you have salted away, I would say, probably the best archive of sort of Extreme Universe covers and promotional material I have ever seen. It's genuinely amazing. You pull out stuff I didn't even know existed, you know? That's the kind of level in the weeds you're at, and frankly, I love it.
Thanks. I care about this stuff. I've been a fan of this stuff since I was 13. So to me, what I've gathered, I want to share with everyone. I think everyone deserves to see this stuff. And I'd hoped for years that we would get some kind of weird collection of all this oddball stuff, but Rob likes to jump around. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to start sharing. And I started last year with a project of a Youngblood cover a day. And I was like, well, let me go do a Youngblood cover a day before Youngblood comes out. And then, you know, I just did it. I'm still doing it.
Yeah, I've been following it since you got to about Arcade. Arcade was when I really started paying attention, because Arcade is full of weird little nooks and crannies that people don't know about. It's just kind of like hidden underneath rocks and stuff. You'd be like, there's a whole other issue of this, or there's a whole like zero issue from this. You know.
No, you're right. Arcade is a lot of fun, and they're really well produced books, and they're rare. They are not out there.
Yeah. Arcade is a fascinating era of Extreme. I want just an omnibus of the Arcade material and throw in Imperial 2 is done. Throw that in. Throw in the script for Bloodsport 3. If Rob isn't going to draw it, I want to at least be able to read it. It exists.
He is going to draw it. He said he's still drawing it. You know, we did see a new page or two of a Bloodsport 2 that he's drawn.
Did we?
Yeah, he put a page up with I think Doc Rocket killing Cougar, maybe.
That was about 10 years ago.
That's true, but he did say he's still working on it. Recently, he said he's working on it.
I know he last year mentioned it, and to be fair, Bloodsport is about the only book that Rob seems committed to finishing, in terms of the back catalog. So,
and Image United, he does. Talk
and
about
Image
that.
United. To be fair, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I've ever said this on the show. I was responsible for the brief resurrection of Image United. Do either of you know about this?
Yeah, but in what way?
Okay, so Rob put out on his Instagram, he briefly did like an AMA, you know, like an Ask Me Anything on his Instagram, and I was curious. I was like, so I sent him. I put in, what comic from your back catalog would you most like to finish? And he posts a picture of a page from Image United 4, right? And then for about 2 weeks, he was like doing Image United stuff and saying, you know, and making all these promises. And he actually drew finished off a whole page of Image United art before he, you know, saw something shiny and moved on. But for a brief period of time, I resurrected Image United.
That's great. He mentioned, I think within the past month or two, he was noodling on a page.
Interesting.
So he says if you were to follow where the art is, it gets stuck at Sylvester and McFarlane's house. Those are the two guys who kind of like are the least interested in finishing it. But Rob and Eric, they said they would just do it themselves if they could. And, you know, they might.
I know that Todd was interested at some point fairly recently in finishing it.
You're right. McFarlane's been drawing more lately. The past year, he's drawn more covers. And he does that. If you ordered 1,000 copies of the Scorched 50 or Gunslinger Spawn 50, you got a McFarlane sketch. And they're really good. When he puts pen to paper, he's so good. I'm not a super fan of his digital inks. He's like an okay digital inker. But like his real inks on paper, like they almost can't be touched.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the Youngblood 100 cover, which, don't worry, people, we are getting to Youngblood 100 eventually. And to my editor, I apologize as always. But yeah, you know, I love McFarlane. I wish one of the biggest tragedies of sort of Image is that we never got a Liefeld penciled McFarlane inked book. Like, I would have given anything for that. Like,
he he is one of my favorite Liefeld inkers.
I think he might be my favorite Liefeld inker. I can't think of anyone I love more on Rob.
I tried to get Rob to for the Youngblood 100 cover. If you ever see the original art to New Mutants 87, the UPC box is a little drawing of Cougar because Rob was going to have Cougar in New Mutants. So the UPC box has got Cougar, and it's penciled by Rob, inked by McFarlane. And I said, why don't you just take that UPC box and put it on the new cover? He's like, nah. I'm like, all right. It'd be cool, though.
It would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I didn't get a copy because I completely forgot to put myself down for every copy of Youngblood 100. So I've made an order for a couple of the covers from Forbidden Planet. I'm not a particularly big fan of Forbidden Planet, but they're good for just like if you miss something. Forbidden Planet is like the Starbucks of comic shops. I don't know if you have them in the States, but they are
not in New Jersey.
They're like a chain of comic shops, and they pop up around the UK, and I just find them to be dreary and
it's hard for you guys in the UK. I know it's hard with Kickstarters. Do you know a guy named Gavin Higginbottom?
Doesn't ring.
He's online a lot. He's a big Eric Larson Savage Dragon fan and Liefeld fan. He's very vocal on some of the communities, and I help him all the time. Like whenever Rob puts out something on Whatnot or his Rob Liefeld creations, I end up shipping to him in the UK personally. I guess he's got the money. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But because I know that shipping is not nice. It's not fun for you guys.
It is not. It's not. Whilst I'm waiting for my first paycheck to arrive, I've pretty much just cut down my Liefeld orders. Although he still hasn't shipped my Youngblood 100. So,
do you guys have a favorite cover yet, or do you want to hold that till we actually talk about it?
Favorite cover of Youngblood 100? It's probably the McFarlane cover, the Robert McFarlane cover. I'm gonna go with that. That's the one I love.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I didn't fall in love with any of them, really. Nothing was like blowing me out of the water, if I'm going to be honest. I think I laughed at the Robert Kirkman one, just like these short, stubby legs. It's all I see immediately on it, and that kind of makes me smile. I'm collecting, and this isn't going after back issues or something like Marat's Naughty and Nice, where you're never going to get every cover of everything, so don't even try for every variant of something.
Yeah, don't.
All the variants were out at cover price, so I kind of grabbed one of everything. I will say what I did like is the announcement for the second print showing, rather than the previous old guard in those scoped, having the new image hits in there, new. There was Invincible, but like other heroes in those. He really liked that. Is it Dork?
Yeah, Dork.
Dork. Right.
I haven't read Dork. I haven't got into the thing. I've seen it. I scroll past it when I'm purchasing comics. That's apparently my loss because a lot of people are recommending it. But like that, having those other characters in the scoped bits, I like that. That made me smile. I also like that there's I'm hoping it's not an incentive. I saw there was like a blank black and white where those scope pieces are blank. Kind of like convention sketch fill in if you wanted to, like minor like remarks or something.
That's fun.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's not like a $50 book.
I know. Rob gets real expensive when it's not being shipped through Lunar.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there was meant to be incentive covers for Youngblood 100, but they were kind of abruptly cancelled.
Thankfully, this way, because my favorite cover, where did it go? Anyway, I like the one with the 100 on it. I thought that's the one I kind of lean towards. And then they made a foil of that, which was originally incentive, and then you could just order the foil of that version.
Yeah, I got the foil as well. My local comic book guy was like, Leo, you should have asked for more. You're the only person buying this book at his store. I don't think Rob is quite translated to the UK. I'll be honest with you, his books are like impossible to get a hold of over here. I think Liefeld is a purely American phenomenon. I don't think he ever quite caught on over here. If he did, I've never come across a shop that kind of was very Rob saturated.
I'm sure he did in the 90s. I'm sure it was just as good as anything else over there. But 30 years later, it does seem very very American. I do understand that. I get that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got into Extreme starting with Alan Moore's Supreme, and then I kind of branched out from there.
See, that's it. I think here we have your Gen X and your elder millennials that kind of grew up with that stuff, and I don't know, the last maybe 15 years kind of hit a point of nostalgia with that, maybe coming back in. I know a lot of people stopped collecting, and then at some point, like, rubber meets the road again, and they started collecting at some point, and they remember that Rob or early Image stuff and start looking back at that stuff, or that's where they're like, oh, this is what I found in my parents' basement, and this, I remember this, the first 20 Spawn or whatever, like, is that still going? And then finding out it's 350 and plus going, like, I think there's a lot of that, and people who like Rob. I had a boss at a recent job where didn't collect comic books, but literally did that to go find his baseball card collection at his parents' house. And he had a binder and he's like, I have half a dozen comic books that he just happened to accumulate. And one of them was a random Supreme issue. And I was like, I couldn't believe like that Extreme Studios had gotten to that point that somebody who only had like a half dozen sitting in a collection even had one of those. It was ubiquitous at that point. And I feel like I was like, yeah, man, even somebody who doesn't know would be like, yeah, man, I Supreme. I know what Supreme is. Angry Superman, right? And like they had that instant shorthand to it.
They're like, you got it. That's exactly who he is.
Yeah.
What's funny about Youngblood is if you were a kid in the 90s and you have a couple of Youngblood, and then this year you go, oh, Youngblood's coming back. Let me check it out. It's the same book. It's the same thing. Yeah. To where Spawn, it's like, this is not drawn by McFarlane, or it's a very different comic. I looked through every issue of Spawn. I haven't really bought it since like the 200s. I did collect that for a long time, but it really gets boring. I try not to crap on comics too much.
They brought back Overkill a lot of the newer issues and then the thing, so I was getting them and collecting it for that. They're just on the pull list now. Let's stay. Spawn can have 3 universal issues. We don't need a Gunslinger, She-Spawn, Tales of the Gunslinger or whatever. There's like a dozen different, 10 maybe different series going on at the time, and it seems like overkill. I don't need to be buying that many Todd McFarlane comics, but
overkill. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
It's funny is that Rob still does co-own Overkill, and he's allowed to use him whenever he wants to. He actually told me that.
Yeah. I think that was always the deal on him.
The deal, but I think I was listening to somebody else was thinking, another podcast was saying that he thought just McFarlane owned it. I'm like, no, it's both of them. But I never understood why they changed the name. I never asked Rob. I almost wonder if they changed the name to like not have Stan Lee involved or something.
I thought it was that there was another Overkill. Was there not another character with that name, and then they changed? That was Overkill, and then they changed it to Overt Kill to get around Overkill. I thought there was already a Marvel.
Very, very likely. Very possible.
And the litigious people at Marvel, they're like, just to step around it, let's throw a T in there. Yeah.
I feel like it'd be cool to see him appear in the Bad-Rock series, because they had like a rivalry going on. That was kind of the main Overkill thing that happened in early Extreme, was that he didn't like Bad-Rock and he kept on trying to kill him.
I have high hopes for that series.
So do I.
Series. I think it's going to be funny. I don't know how long Rob's going to write it for. Seth DeMoose can write, so I wonder if he's just going to take it over. And I kind of hope like they do either flashbacks or something, or like a backup that finishes like the Bad-Rock Grifter in a way, or the Bad-Rock #3 with Dragon. Kind of finish the old Bad-Rock stuff. Yeah,
because that was meant to. I mean, you're the reason I know this, but that was meant to come out as like one thing. They were going to release Bad-Rock #3 and the Grifter Bad-Rock #3.
The Bad-Rock Super Special, yeah. That would have been fun, and a new story in addition to those two. So I figure with Grifter though, you can't use him. So just like create like another Drifter. He's like a
gifter. He gives presents.
Right, that's good. I'll take that.
I'd buy it, but then I'll buy anything that happens in the Extreme universe.
You got 3 guys here who are going to buy it. So
yeah. I'm locked in at this point. Like
you are.
We can't quit now.
Hey, Chris, do you know you're in my origin story?
Your origin story.
You and me.
Oh, so I would have guessed on eBay.
You're right.
Yeah.
You kept buying stuff from me, and I'm like, Chris Pine. Like your name sticks out because obviously Chris Pine.
Yeah, it
And
does look like it's an Extreme Studio spelling of the actor. Yeah.
Right. And I emailed you one time. I'm like, hey, you're a big fan, whatever, that's cool. And then you didn't get back to me. I'm like, oh, what a
I'm
jerk.
the worst for that. I can show up on a calendar, man, and I can be there, but I think it's being an introvert and then like just being a bastard and just not getting back to people. Sometimes if something's out of sight and out of mind,
No,
I don't get back.
100%. You did get back to me when I emailed you about your website. And early on when you first started, I'm like, oh, this, and I just started like sending you stuff. And then I forgot to do, But you were cool because I think you recognized me from the bootleg, the Youngblood bootleg.
Yeah, well, it was
I
your
did,
name. I have that. I know we're early on stuff, but I do have the copy I bought. And what I always smiled at was that, and just like the oldest school, it feels like Xerox paper.
It is
like folded over, where like you had like the edge kind of comes at that. It's not like a perfectly clean cut book on the end. I love that. It feels like a true bootleg. But I feel like there is if I can hold this up, that's going to picture. There's a little drawing of
yes
that you had done of Bad-Rock.
Yes,
and it actually says like rocked, bad rocked for the Bad-Rockin Podcast. But I was like, oh, it has a little drawing on the inside. Since then, I've then had to track down other fan-made pieces, anything that made it to the point of an actual book that I could get. So I do have your Darkest Image too, as well.
Oh, dude, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun book to do. I had 2 stories in that one. Yeah, I love. Yeah, it's funny. It's like I used to draw a lot, and then as time went on, I met my friend Brian, who just drew better than me.
Yeah,
and yeah,
okay. That's rough. That's rough when you have somebody coming up at the same time. Yeah.
Oh my God, we met when we were 13. So like, then I kind of went into theater. Like I stopped doing like wrestling and stuff and doing theater, and then I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of a good writer. And then I just started writing more, and he started drawing more, and 30 years later, we barely have anything done.
Yeah.
That's adult life. But we're trying. We're trying to put together a book now. But like, Rob, are you aware of the Awesome Army Online?
Rings a bell.
It was like one of the first awesome kind of pages before Facebook. It was like a Yahoo group, and that's how I started talking to Rob to begin with. This is in the late 90s, and we had put together a couple fanzine called the Awesome Army Outpost.
Okay.
And my first couple of Youngblood stories in that book were in this fanzine. It's kind of like the Titans Talk or the Legion Outpost of the 70s and 80s.
I remembered where I knew that fanzine from. It was Forgotten Awesome has like a post about it.
Yes, I've become really good friends with that guy too. Like him and I, hundreds of conversations about stuff.
I need to have him on the show. He's the whole reason I got into Extreme in the first place. Was I was reading his blog because I'm a big Alan Moore fan. And I started reading his blog, and then just went from here. And now I have a whole podcast about it.
Which is great. Yeah, it's like funny because when you tell people you're a Liefeld fan, people go, "Oh, Liefeld fan, whatever." But then you go, "But I'm also the biggest Alan Moore fan," and people can't put that together in their heads. It's like you're allowed to like different things.
Yeah,
I do also collect Peter Bag's hate. I'm a big fan of. What I mean? Like we're not just one thing. We're everything. Like if you ever listen to my podcast, we're mostly a comic news podcast. That's kind of the road we went down.
Okay,
we can't shut up about comic history and the stuff we know, and this is like this, or it's fun. We just love comics. But anyway, so what we did with Youngblood was we took our 4 short stories from the individual outpost, put them together, added a new story to it, which is okay, and then we made that 80-page giant that you have. The first couple printings, it's full 8.5 by 11. It's a full just magazine size, and then we went back and made it like an ash can size.
That's cool. It's something
I'm
that
glad
comes
you got
up
it
so rarely on. It was just searching Youngblood on eBay for a long time, and then to see the rarest, you kind of search the highest price first.
Yes,
and just see like what crazy stuff is out there. Sometimes the book would get listed like $150 as a thing, and that's actually since then. I don't think I bought it from you for that price.
No, it's.
But it's become an actual collectible. To the point where I haven't seen the other proper covers that you're talking about, even though I would search for Youngblood Extreme and bootleg as terms often.
Yeah.
So there's even rarer versions out. I love that.
Yeah, that's funny. And I didn't charge anything. They were all given away for free because I couldn't
cool.
in myself I can't make money off someone else's characters, even though people clearly do. I'm friendly with Rob, so I couldn't do that. So I just gave away for free.
Wasn't the Darkest Image books, weren't they done for to raise charity money?
Yes, for William.
Yeah. Or the print, or a printing of it was for charity money.
Yes, yeah. To help William Messner Loebs, the guy who wrote so much stuff, but most famously for the Max. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that extreme fans have a way of getting to know each other through buying stuff off one another. J.R. Lamar, I mentioned off air before we started. He's the guy I bought my copy of Youngblood Bloodsport bootleg issue 2. I was chatting to him on Reddit because I put a post on has anyone even seen this book in the wild? And he sent me, he put in the chat, he was like, oh, how much, I've got one I'm willing to sell. How much would you be willing to spend on it? And then he instantly deleted that comment. And he's like, oh, I see you live in the UK. I don't want to have to deal with the hassle of shipping to the UK. And I was panicking because it was a book that I'd been searching for I would say about 2 years, maybe more at that point. So I was like, if I could find somewhere for you to send it in the US, would you do that? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I called up a friend of mine who, have you ever seen the movie The Room?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I was trying to explain it to my daughter the other week.
So I went to a screening of The Room, right? Because I was in London and I was meant to be meeting Brian Boland, but Brian Boland cancelled at the last minute. But I'd already booked the train tickets and I hadn't booked any insurance. You can book spend £2 or something to so you can reclaim your ticket. I was like, I'm just going to London. I didn't think I was going to have to reclaim a ticket. Anyway, I'd already bought it, so I was like, fuck it, I'll go up to London and just enjoy the day. So me and my mate went up to London, but my mate had to leave because he was meeting some other friends in London because he was from London. We were kind of uni buddies. And so I'm like, I bought this ticket. I was the cheapest ticket I could buy. And it meant I couldn't leave until I think it was 7 o'clock. And he left at about 4 o'clock. Obviously, London's a big place. There's plenty to do. But I was kind of I don't know what I want to do. And then it kind of flashed in my head. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Tommy Wiseau is in London at the moment showing The Room and Big Shock to people. And I checked my phone and I'm like, I think there might be a screening that I can get a ticket to. So I went down to the cinema. There's the Prince Charles Cinema, right? It's the place that hosts Tommy whenever he comes to the UK. So I went there and I got to the thing and I was like, can I get this? It's can I do the double screening but only go to one of the films because I got to get the last train back? And he's like, oh, there's just a screening of Big Shock if you want. And there was one seat left, literally one ticket left. He was like, do you want it? I'm like, yes, I want it. I want to see the new Tommy Wiseau film.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I booked the ticket. And I don't know if you've ever been to a screening of The Room.
Yeah.
They're insane. Right. So
I can only imagine.
So there's
got to be the new Rocky Horror.
Yeah, essentially it is, yeah. And there's this big queue of people, right? Big queue of people. And I'm stood there and this big kind of Scottish bloke comes out. He's kind of the cinema handler or bouncer kind of guy. He's like, I just want to let you know, no alcohol and no steel cutlery. Because during the room, people throw spoons at the screen. That's the tradition. And assumably, people have been throwing metal spoons at the screen and hitting other people in the back of the head with metal cutlery. Anyway, so he's like, you can go straight into the theater, or you can go downstairs and you can buy some merch and you can meet Tommy. Right. So what you do is you go downstairs, and at the end of the sort of snack kind of area, there was Tommy encased in perspex like Hannibal Lecter, right, just at the back of the room, right. So you buy the merch. I bought a bunch of random shit, just threw stuff together. I got a poster. I literally have him staring down at me with his autograph right out of screen, right.
Nice.
And so I get there. And I chat with him for a moment. He's a strange guy, but it was kind of fun just to talk with him for a moment. Anyway, so we go and we go into the theater. It's just me. So I go into the theater, and they do a Q&A before the film. and this was like a few months before I made my film The Introspection, and so I'm sat in this theater, and I'm like, I'm gonna put my hand up and ask, and I'm like, what advice would you give to an upcoming filmmaker? And he goes, why'd you sound so negative? You gotta believe in yourself.
He's right.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
But how funny is it coming from him? Like,
it is very.
That dude nothing but believes in himself. Did you watch his show? I only got one episode so far.
Yeah, his show is the worst thing I've ever watched in my entire life. I don't exaggerate. I say this as someone who loves The Room with all of my heart, but that TV show is a level of hell I didn't know existed.
Did you get through all of it? I want to watch it all.
I made it to the end, and no one could drag me to even watching a single frame of it again. I just wouldn't do it. I won't go back. I just won't.
What was it called? Do you remember?
The Neighbors.
The Neighbors. Oh, did you watch it, Chris?
I haven't.
Oh.
It's allegedly.
I saw The Room, but I feel like the only way I got through The Room was watching the riff tracks of The Room, and
okay,
yeah, that helped a lot. That helped too.
The Room becomes better if you watch Disaster Artist 2.
I've read the book. I've read the book, and the book is amazing. I was actually talking about Disaster Artist with Marat, because Marat has a story that very much sounds similar to something that happened to Greg in real life, and so I pointed out the parallels between Marat and Liefeld and Greg and Tommy. But
that's funny.
And what was I going to say? The reason I was telling this whole diatribe story about meeting Tommy Wiseau is at the end of the screening, this girl comes up to me and she's like, I heard you were making a film. I'm a composer. I make music for films. I would love to work with your film. It sounds really fun. So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll give you my details. I gave her my details. She ended up composing our film. She actually co-composed it. There was two people kind of working in tandem because it was a disaster I'm very proud of it as a movie. And it was intentionally disastrous. Like, it was a parody of bad student films. So it's kind of a lot of, I don't know if you've ever seen Black Dynamite or Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very inspired by those two things.
Okay.
Anyway, so she came up to me. She's like, but she was American. And so so back to the Reddit post, I'm thinking, what if I ask her if she must live somewhere in America. And so I reach out. I'm like, can I use your address to get this comic shipped to your house in Minnesota? I think it was. And she's like, yeah. I mean, I don't live there, but my mom does. So I get JR to ship it to her mom's house, and her mom very nearly sends it by USPS, which would have been like $200. But thankfully, she had the sense not to do that, and she sent it by the right postal. No, she was going to send it by UPS. Okay. Rather than USPS. I always get those two confused, and I suppose she did as well, very nearly. So, but it ended up only being about 24 quid in the end. But thank God she realized that it was not UPS.
Yeah, we're a little pricey.
Yeah. So anyway,
when it comes to international.
Yeah, it was. It would have been unfortunate had she said. There would have been an awkward situation. What do you even do at that point?
At that point, you're spending what, $300. That's crazy. Well, that's why Gavin. That's why I don't mind helping out Gavin. For that same reason.
Exactly. But yeah, so I buy the book. It's shipped to my friend's mom's house, and then from my friend's mom's house, it's shipped to me. And here's the crazy part about this story. So this book arrives, right? And I'm just ecstatic. It's not in the best of condition, but he'd already showed me it. I was like, I don't care. I just want a copy of Youngblood Bloodsport bootleg issue 2. Like, Youngblood Bloodsport is my favorite Liefeld art job. I love it. I love how detailed it is. You can tell that how much passion he has for that story. It's one of the best scripts I think Rob has had. It's so kind of insane and very, very kind of early 2000s Millar. Rob pronounces Millar, and I just amuses me.
We all did until he told us it's Miller. Almost all Americans called him Millar. We can't help it. We see the AR. It is. It's the A. It's exactly right.
And so I finally get the copy. I'm just ecstatic, right? It arrives, and I spend like weeks just opening up my comic box and looking at it. I'm like, I finally have it, and then putting it back. The next month, Rob opens up a crate in his warehouse and finds an entire like shipment of mint condition Youngblood Bloodsport bootleg issue 2, and suddenly the market is flooded with them. They're everywhere. Anyone could buy them. They're no longer rare. They're still expensive, but like if you buy them from Rob, they're not too bad. And it's like I spent years tracking down this book. The moment I get it, Rob discovers like a quarter of the of the print run was in his lockup. He just lost it.
I spent 10 years looking for Megaton Explosion, and nobody had it. And finally, I got one. Do you know what Megaton Explosion is?
Yeah. It wasn't that the first comic to feature any kind of Youngblood stuff.
It's one of the first Youngblood appearances.
That's the flimsier free comic.
Yes.
Got it. Yes. Okay.
Was not available for 10 years. The day I finally get one from Rob, Rob's like, "Oh, I got a whole case of them at home." I'm like, "Awesome!" So he gives me one, and then all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Has them." I'm like,
Yeah.
You can get it now. It's probably you can probably go on eBay right now. They're not super cheap, but it's just funny. Same thing. Like the minute you get it, everyone else can get it.
Yeah.
Okay, we better start Youngblood 100. I mean,
yes. I call this on my show. We call this the spiral, because the more you start talking, you just spiral out of control of your conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
digressions on digressions. Yeah.
Yes.
Thankfully, we don't have any projects to discuss with you. Like usually when we get a guest on, they've got like a comic or something else to deep dive into.
I'm working on a comic, but we could.
Oh no, we'll get into that, but we don't have to get into the nerdy extreme.
No, I don't have a history of like.
When you were publishing this in '97 with the team, like who was over your shoulder as you inked this? Yeah, we're not.
It's more like my friend's mom worked at a school township, and we had free access to the printer. That's why we printed out thousands of copies of that book.
That's nice.
Okay, Youngblood 100. It's the first end of an arc Rob has managed to get to in 30 years. We haven't had Rob complete a comic since the early 90s. So this is a unique situation. Some of us didn't think it would happen, but here we are. Youngblood 100 is out.
I knew he was going to get to 100. I never had any doubts about it because every Marvel project he's done, every DC project, everything gets done except for his own personal stuff. His own personal stuff always gets interrupted. Bloodsport got interrupted because Marvel begged him to do X-Force. Damn Marvel.
Yeah, and Marat was talking about how Rob often it's whatever, if there's something new he's into, it's hard to rekindle that, to go back to an older project like that, because after he's finished with that, there's something else new or something that he was thinking of at the tail end of that he'd rather jump to, and it's kind of hard to go all the way back and revisit something. So if this is, he's recently kind of cut ties with both recently kind of cut ties with Marvel and had only working with DC under specific circumstances as a current stuff. So it's his full attention is here now. And I think there's also been we've talked about this a lot, that he's been sitting on a lot of these pages and parts of this story for 15 years, it feels like in some cases. So I'm sure there was drawers of some of this art kind of waiting for its chance to come in, and I'm sure it's been repurposed a couple of times in his head over the years for different projects as he's been worked, or let's take this part of the story in for here, but he finally found a home for everything. And it did feel like an end to a story as opposed to just saying an end. The last 3 issues kind of stepped in a new world, but it was we actually got an end to that story he was telling, and it's not a flash of white or anything. The toys are still on the board, and he gets to go to do his 101 and continue on into the future on it. But yeah, Leo and I were talking because when the first issue came out, he had that direct to consumer release on his website, and that came out well in advance of the first issue.
Almost 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
April to November,
it was like a sliding scale. As each issue came, we were getting closer and closer, and I was wondering if we were going to get a direct 100 before this. So I actually did get that cover with Shaft and the multiple reprinted covers behind him, which I think is
Yes.
the only one that really shipped out as it before the 100.
Correct.
So I'm counting that as the direct to consumer. I bought the Marat. I'm waiting. I like the Marat. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
that in here.
I mean,
Um,
Marat offered to sell me one, but I've ordered one. I should technically own it.
yeah. But yeah, that came out like right as we were on top of the one. So I'm not sure we're gonna see a direct to consumer 101 in advance of 101. I don't know what he's gonna have as a solicit date.
He said we are going to get that one months before it actually comes out.
Okay. So it's gonna be a long tail before we actually see 101.
I think we're going to get it by the end of the summer, and I think it's
Okay.
not going to be solicited till like November. That's just kind of what I put together. Because otherwise,
You
why
think,
would
I can
he?
imagine doing another 6 issues. What do you think he would commit to as another step, or are we just ongoing now? And
I think 6 issues a year. Like it's the Battle Beast. Battle Beast is 6 issues and then 6 months off, which is
okay.
fine because we're getting really good artwork from Otley, and I think Liefeld's like that's not a bad idea. But you
Sure.
just got to keep it steady. And if he doesn't come back, someone else will. Like I think he just mentioned he wants to do Airborne, which is great. That's a great concept. So I don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know how much he has done.
100% seeing him handing off after 101 or even mid 101 to somebody else and then doing his story and layout and everything else that he does, but give the grinding daily work of it. Well, again, what's the new thing that's going to get his attention? He's been wanting to do that Airborne for a while, and now that he's already done Youngblood and had this out for a bit, I'm sure he's ready to try something else. That was the old scheme in not scheme. That was the old scheme in the idea plan of the Extreme Studios in the day. Like early on, before everything was coming out at the same time, it was here's a run of Youngblood and then Brigade and then like we're gonna launch it. But like you kind of had chunks of each thing, even the the first couple of Team Youngblood with certain or like the Strike File as their own thing. There was a kind of putting out something and then putting it on the cooler while you're doing the next couple of things before it was the noise of everything at the same time. So maybe that's what we'll see on here too. But
Rob's a master at launching stuff, but I don't mind him launching something as long as he's got a good follow-up person after that. Because he's just spewing out ideas. And we only got so much time on the clock. So if you want to get these ideas, you do got to jump around a little bit. So, and it goes back to the Ultimate stuff. Let other people finish it. You're still the director. You're still the producer. You can still write it, tell people what you want. But you just don't have time to draw, and it takes a long time.
And he can be precious with Youngblood if he wants, but there's no reason to keep everything else under him. I know he's bringing in other artists for Bad-Rock and others, but like he should be leaning heavy into that. If I have to buy all of those books from Todd McFarlane, we can go a little bit wider in the extreme stuff.
I would be quite happy to see, for instance, with Bloodsport, it'd be cool to see Frank Whiteley do the last issue.
Yeah, we wish.
Yeah.
Liefeld said he's not rich enough for Frank Whiteley because he goes, I would love for him to draw Supreme. He goes, who would be better to draw Supreme than Frank Whiteley? And I'm like, yeah. But yeah, even Miller and Morrison have a hard time getting Frank Whiteley at this point. Although Grant Morrison is doing something with Whiteley, we don't know what.
I've heard that, but yeah, I mean, because there's a preview book of Youngblood Bloodsport that I've been trying to get my hands on. Wasn't like Whiteley meant to do some interiors? Like, wasn't it meant to be a couple of people? I mean, that may just be my brief. I've only seen like a flicker of it.
I don't recall. I mean, we all got the one cover, which is gorgeous. I did post 2 different versions of that cover. Like they had 2 different colorists draw that cover.
Yeah,
but
it's a gorgeous cover.
I was talking to Mark Miller around the time he did Bloodsport. He was doing a signing in Philadelphia, and I was asking him about it, and he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Youngblood's going to be like the most terrible comic." He goes, the tagline should be "Youngblood, leave your taste at the door." Like that was his plan for. But before Youngblood, he had actually pitched a Supreme comic, and he wanted Frank Whiteley involved. And then Frank Whiteley says, "I'll do covers," but then Liefeld didn't want to do the Supreme. He really wanted to focus on Youngblood. So Miller has the Supreme pitch. Isn't that neat?
I mean, I personally think when Rob retires, if Rob actually goes through with retiring, we'll see. I'd love to see Skybound take Extreme and just see what happens with that. I mean, Robert's a big Extreme fan. great
if that
talent.
folds into like an Energon thing, and then I have to go retroactively collect 6 years of Transformer comic books.
I don't think he would do it, John. I mean, to be fair, I'd read it. I'd read a Transformers Extreme book, but like I'm just thinking about like just kind of a more. I mean, like imagine like Daniel Warren Johnson doing Bloodstrike, and that's one of my
Oh yeah,
dreams.
it's not out of the realm of possibility that Skybound could buy Extreme. He could definitely afford it.
Yeah,
He's the one guy. He's the most successful person in comics of all history.
Mm.
Nobody can beat Kirkman for that.
No.
It's him, and then probably Peter Laird, the co-owner of the Turtles, because I think he got paid 40 or 50 million to be bought outright by Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Rob might be number 3.
Yeah, I mean there was an article a while ago that was about how Rob has managed to get like the most movie deals of anyone to never get a movie made.
You'd
like
be
in the
surprised about the movies we don't even know about.
Yeah,
like he's pitched more movies than he has comics.
That's true. Do I have it right? I remember hearing, this is rumor of anything too, but that his contract at Marvel was one of the sweeter contracts, the kind of thing that like maybe McFarlane was angry about not having or something, but where almost in perpetuity, if a title includes Cable or Deadpool's name, there's some small percentage of money that goes into his pocket of that. And
yeah,
I remember, the reason I have that in my head is that hearing there was an editor who changed the titles of books during this dark period where I wasn't collecting, and to scrub those names. So like saying Mutant X instead of Deadpool, and then continuing a Wade Wilson story. But because it wasn't in the title, that was like 0.5% more he instantly got in their pocket from that book.
You are dead right about almost everything there. Jim Shooter came up with the best Marvel plan to give creators money. He's the one who gave rights and stuff to people, and he did come up with the plan like, hey, you create a character, you get a piece of that. And Liefeld's like, really? I'm gonna create a bunch of characters.
Yeah, I got characters. Yeah,
he does, because he was still a kid at that point. Like nobody knew how good he was going to turn New Mutants into X-Force.
Yeah.
So that's true. The Deadpool Cable deal is great, and it goes for all his characters. And he's taken Marvel to court a lot. Like this is like a secret or anything, but he's had to resue them multiple times. Even if like Gwenpool, when Marvel created Gwenpool, he's like, it's still a derivative of Deadpool. Marvel doesn't like to give you rights if you create a derivative. Like Miles Morales is derivative, they don't want to pay you anything. Winter Soldier is derivative of Bucky, so Ed Brubaker doesn't get a cut of that, which is crazy because Winter Soldier is such a different concept, but he's still Jack Kirby's Bucky. So Liefeld's like, okay, well then, if you don't give people derivatives, then when you derivative my characters, then I should get a cut of that.
Yeah. And, that's the logic the other way. Yeah.
And he wins. And when they did that, Deadpool into Agent X and Cable into Soldier X,
Yeah, they did X-Static, so they wouldn't have to have
X-Static,
X-Force.
same difference.
Soldier X, Agent X, yeah.
So yeah, same thing. We were actually, when they announced those books, we were at Philadelphia Wizard World, and my friend stood up. Marvel had a Q&A, and my friend goes, "Are you doing that just so you don't have to pay Liefeld?" And Marvel's like, no. It's like a kind of a funny deal. My friend's a jerk, but he's awesome.
He might be a jerk, but he wasn't wrong. Yeah,
he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're correct on everything you just said, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's return to Youngblood 100. I really should be a better moderator of this sort of thing, but like I'm having fun too.
Everything we say is fun, and we're all learning, and people who listen to the show, they're learning too. You know why I was excited about your show when you first announced it? I didn't even this before you ever asked me to be on it. When you first announced it, I'm like, good. I said, because like my friend and I, Mark, we want to interview, but we just never end up interviewing people. But I do listen to the Savage Fincast, which is these couple friends who have a Savage Dragon podcast, and it's pretty good. But whenever they talk about Extreme, their knowledge sucks. Like like they get everything wrong, and I'm like, I want to pull my hair out. Left.
Yeah, you can't respond to a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about 400 issues through the 700 issues of Extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to read every single issue.
How old are you? You are younger than me and Chris.
Yeah, right? I am 24. For a second there, I almost forgot how old I am.
Holy crap, dude! I'm like twice your age.
Yeah,
I turned 50 this month.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Getting up there.
Yeah. I was 47 earlier this year. Yep.
Yeah, okay, you're right
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm a pretty like omnivorous reader and consumer of stories. You know, I'm a writer. I've made like 5 short films. I'm
no,
18
the short
chapters
films is
into it.
interesting. I definitely I want to check them out.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
you're welcome to. But yeah, I'm like 18 chapters down in a book. You know, I'm like constantly trying to I have my own comic that I'm slowly working on the script for, and I have an artist in mind. But yeah, I'm like always trying to consume stories and Liefeld. Here's the thing, right? I was always obsessed with like the worst reviewed comics, right? That was always like an obsession of mine. Like, what do people universally think is terrible? And for a long time, you know, I'd only encountered Liefeld in that kind of light, in that kind of, you know, like top 10 worst comics, and you get to like number 7, and it's Youngblood, you know. And so it was in the back of my mind. I want to check that out. I want to have an opinion on it because that's the thing. It's like I went to see Mandalorian and Grogu the other day, right? And I didn't particularly want to because I was like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this. And I watched it. And I'll be honest with you, it's like one good episode of a show and then another pretty bad episode of the same show stitched
Okay.
together with a couple of bits of filler here and there. But I wanted to have an opinion. I didn't want to dismiss it, you know, outright, or just kind of go along with the crowd. And you know, I wanted to have an opinion. And with Rob's comics, you know, I wanted to have an opinion. And you know, when I first read those original printings of Youngblood, you know, I wasn't quite convinced. And then you know, I read the Joe Casey rewrite, and you know, that is such a, you know, improvement in many ways. You know, I think it kind of smooths out some of the rough edges. I mean, I fell in love with Liefeld comics when I read Bloodsport. That's why I have such an affection for it.
For me, that's such a weird in point for it, but that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, well, because I
He was
started with
barely alive when Bloodsport was coming out. You know.
I started with Supreme 41, and I just worked my way forward from Awesome to Arcade. That's how I ended up kind of going in that way, because I didn't start with like Youngblood #1. I kind of started with Supreme 41 and kind of worked my way out. And then I was like, I really love this stuff. I want to start from the beginning. And now I've only just gotten to Extreme Sacrifice. I've done Extreme Sacrifice, and yeah, there's just so much stuff to read.
It's a lot to read. I'm glad you jumped in because it's fun. It's fun to see someone younger do it. Because I've been in it from the get go. You know, I think I started with New Mutants. Are you about the same, Chris?
I started reading comics, Fantastic Four, and a couple of things. It's before I started realizing it's a Wizard magazine and whatever else, or that was just starting. So I slipped into X-Men just as what was the big crossover where Strife releases
Executioner's Song.
Executioner's Song. That's where I came in, and so I came in right after everybody left X-Men. Everybody left the whole family of X-Men, and that was my in. And then everybody was in the store would talk about Image Comics and that these were all the people that had just left X-Men. And so when I was doing that, I could only buy so many back issues because then it started to be the Silvestri Uncanny books that were going to be crazy expensive at that point in the stores, or the Jim Lee stuff earlier in X-Men that it immediately skyrocketed in price. So that's where I came in. And then I loved that X-Men stuff. But then my into Image Comics is picking up Youngblood and seeing Chapel is in bed with a lady, and he's like,
Oh yeah.
Sorry, lady, got to go and do the got my call or whatever. And it's like showing that little more adult than you were getting in Marvel, which like 13 years old just like sparks your mind of like, well, I'd rather have the unfiltered adult stuff rather than it's something that they're coding for children. So I bought X-Men at the same time and was reading that, and I loved my Marvel, but it definitely felt like I was getting something I wasn't necessarily supposed to have at 13 or 14 on the other. And I enjoyed that a lot. But it was the darker, dirtier, more adult Marvel is what it felt like back in the day. When I got back into, I stopped when I turned 16 and a half and got my license.
Right.
All my money was now going to be going for driving and going out wherever driving took me. And came back then after many after college and everything, and I moved in with my wife before we were married. There was a store that was like opened up at the mall of comic books. I'm like, hey, man, I used to do this. And went in. I picked up. So I jumped in just as Hickman took over Fantastic Four.
Okay.
For I'm like, well, I love Fantastic Four. I'll go pick that up again. And then shortly after that was the 2012 Extreme Studios kind of relaunch at Image. And I was like, okay, well, they had legacy numbering. And I was like, oh, I apparently need to get 50 issues in between where I dropped off and what's happened here, or what the hell does this mean? And it was investigating that to get that full number of everything. And it then became, well, he also appears here. He's also appears here. Never mind 78 issues of Youngblood. Like it's Bad-Rock appears in this, Stormwatch issue and whatever else. And then finding out that they edited him out of the Stormwatch issue. So now I got to buy a trade paperback copy of it. So
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I just posted that too. I was just talking about that.
I didn't know that. Thank you for adding to my shopping list. Yeah.
Too funny. I'm trying to find the image from Shattered Image where they cut out, they put in Mighty Man over top of Kid Supreme. Like I knew I had it somewhere, but I couldn't find it when I posted. I'm like, oh well, I'll find it later. It's like when they changed to Frank Quitely and Art Adams stuff in Authority. Like that's, I don't know if you read Authority, you guys. You should.
I'm putting together an Authority run. Like the thing is that I like build runs. It's like I'm a big single issue guy, so I was like, I want to do Alan Moore's Wildcats, and then go into Warren Ellis's Stormwatch, and then Authority. It's like I did that with Morrison's New X-Men. I was like, I want to read Morrison's New X-Men, but I also want to read Astonishing X-Men, which was like.
Right, Josh Whedon's
follow-up run, but I also want to read the infamously terrible Chuck Austin X-Men, because again, I'm a big fan of reading like famously bad comics. And they all happen around the same time, so I'm like, I can slot these all together and make this kind of like mega run of comics, and I can try 3 runs I want to read. And that's what I want to do with the Authority, is kind of slot together some stuff I find interesting.
Chuck Austin is kind of a good writer, unless you're familiar with the character he's writing.
Yes, exactly that. So it reminds me. No, I've never had a chance to say this to anyone that would understand it. So I'm not a big X-Men reader, right? I've for my sins, I've never actually read Rob's the full New Mutants run. Like I know I should, and I will one day. I think the thing is that I'm such a single issue reader. I'm like, I'd like to get them in singles, but I keep on putting off buying them because they're so expensive, those 2 particular issues. We'll see.
98 is my one. I still don't have a 98. I have everything. When I look at the money, I'm like, I could buy so many other things and add to my collection.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny when you're like, oh man, $10 for that book? I can't afford that. And then a couple years later, $50 for that book? I should have bought it was 10. Yeah. And now it's like 100 and some bucks. And you're like, oh, I should have bought it when it was 50. Yeah. Like, it's just funny to see that. I had a friend who got in a Walking Dead late, and when he bought number 1 for $100, I'm like, I can't believe you bought that for $100. Yeah. And now it's like, I think it went up to 1,000 at one point. Like, it's just insane.
But yeah, so I'm not a big X-Men reader, but so I read Morrison's X-Men run and Chuck Austin's X-Men run, and I was reading them side by side, and there's occasionally like insane stuff that happens in Chuck Austin's X-Men run, but for the most part, I'm like, yeah, this guy's fine, like. There's some great stuff in here. I love the Juggernaut story. He makes Juggernaut such a compelling and fun character. And then you get to the end of his run, and he briefly takes over New X-Men, and he writes the Morrison written characters. And I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't understand any of these characters.
Yeah.
I'm like, I finally get it. I read those last 2 issues of New X-Men. I'm like, oh my God, he has no idea what he's talking about.
Jeff Johns did a year or 2 run on Avengers, and it's really good. And at the end, he really fixed Ant-Man and the Wasp relationship. Like, they had really come to terms. They were really in a good place. Then Chuck Austin takes over, and like the first issue, she's like throwing in his face that remember you hit me, and it was just like, wait a minute, no, they just got past all that. Yeah, and then I think she goes and sleeps with like Hawkeye or something. I'm like, did you not read what just happened?
Yeah, that is the Chuck Austin way.
Yeah, it is. He when he did his own book called World Watch, it's kind of like an R-rated Stormwatch.
I've
Pretty
read the
good.
first issue, but they're quite rare and hard to get a hold of. So I've not read issue 2 and 3.
Okay. I asked him one time if he's ever going to finish it, and he was thinking about doing it as like a Kickstarter, which he should.
Yeah.
But he's retired now from animation, and I don't think he's allowed to make money, or at least he's not allowed to make extra money.
What?
He had a weird. Yeah, he was talking about it on an interview. Like he can only make so much extra money per year, and if he makes too much money, then he loses his retirement.
I mean, he could make it for cost, you know.
Or you just lie and say, you know, I'm giving all the money to the artist, and the artist just slips it to you on the side.
I mean, that's probably what I would do.
I did it work for hire for $5, and then like his son or somebody got
Yeah, right. But my wife can make money, right? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
no,
so
I would love to see more of that, but I need to get the other 2 issues I don't have. I've read like bits and pieces of his work. I've read like the first issue of Strips, I think it's called, which is like he did like these kind of I say softcore. I mean, there's quite a lot of nudity in them, but he did like these kind of like porny kind of comics. He did like 2 about baseball, like separate, like 2 different companies. He did like baseball erotica. I haven't read that, but yeah, he did like one kind of a manga one, and then one like an American comic.
There's something
called
for everyone.
Hardball.
I bet. So
okay, we're an hour in.
100,
so
Youngblood 100, huh?
Now's the time we talk about Youngblood 100.
Yeah.
Okay, so Youngblood 100 is actually number 6 of the current series. I don't think so. For all the other issues, I think there would be like issue 5, and then if you looked on his store somewhere, you could find a legacy numbered issue. But I don't think any number 100s carry number 6 on the cover. I think we've officially left that behind us now, even though this is the end to that same story. When we had number 4 had ended with Lord Chapel being called in by Darkthorn, and then we went through issue number 5 with no Lord Chapel, so we were kind of waiting for that to come back. And when we last left the rest of everybody else in 5, Shaft and Bad-Rock got Thor's hammer. Die Hard was rescued and reconnected with the rest of Youngblood, and then many extreme and awesome characters showed up and united under Shaft for whatever final battle they were all leading into. So we start here, and we have start with Roman underwater, and he is taking on some minions of the keep. He jumps out of the water and sounds a battle horn that they say is to start whatever the next step is, but we never see anybody react to the horn. I'm not sure anybody heard the horn. But then we get our setup. If you haven't been reading through and you're just picking up 100, that we have the keep on one side with their being led by the shepherd and the Imperions behind him, and then a whole bunch of rabble underneath. And then we have Youngblood on the other side, and we get a rundown of Sundance, Shaft, Die Hard, Combat, Doc Rocket, who is mislabeled, Cougar, Vogue, Chapel Jr., who I think should always have Junior stapled to his name, so there's no confusion. And then
we just call him CJ.
Yeah. And then we get who I think should have been Sentinel, but looks like Task. So I don't know if this is Task back on the team in a Sentinel armor taking on that title, or I was actually hoping this was going to get corrected in 100 and when they did the mass market, and it wasn't. It released the same way. So there could be confusion on the names, and I'm not sure if I listed Photon there as well. I got confused because then we start to see the battle taking place and everybody fighting. We see Rain from New Men, who I'd forgotten in the previous issue is one of the seeds from the keep, so it's actually fighting on the side of the keep because it kind of looks like he's fighting alongside Die Hard. So, I was wrong there, but we see Prophet fighting amongst. We see what's his name? I always forget his name. Scarab from Rejects fighting, and a couple of battle sequences as we go through. Vandal, who's really made their first appearances here, other than some cameos before, takes on Die Hard, and they have a multi-page battle. And then we have the Thor's hammer in the hand of Bad-Rock as he takes on the Shepherd. It takes a while, but he eventually beats the Shepherd. The Shepherd just disappears, and everybody just seems kind of surprised that he just disappears, but they're happy for it. The battle continues on. We have Prophet take on Kodiak from the new men because again, the new men are those seed characters fighting on the side of the keep, and eventually, then we have Bird and Pilot join Rain against Prophet. So we do have a couple more of those new men characters. What we eventually shift to is the Empyrean, who are the essentially pastiches of the Celestials, looming over a city, kaiju style. And we have Lord Chapel return, and we have a kaiju battle between these interstellar god robots and the Lord of Hell, which is great. But again, it just comes down to punching. We have a couple of other Imperials, and he just beats the hell out of all of them. The villains that had reunited to bring Lord Chapel come out as well. So we have Darkthorn and Loki and Tyrax come back. And then we see as they've won that, there's now cleanup happening of the smaller forces, but the tides have definitely turned in the battle now that Lord Chapel has come in. We get cameos from both Bowens from the Infinite series. Genie from Rejects comes in. We have, and I'm never sure if his name is Extreme or Extreme Warrior, but we have him there, and we have the masked version of Cabot come in from Bloodstrike. We have Big Brother and I forget his name too. Big Brother Primer. Yeah. Primer come in and they're doing some cleanup, and then we kind of finally see that they've won. It's been 3 years under the heel of the keep. We know a lot of heroes have already died well in advance of getting here because Supreme never came back in any of this. So we do know a lot fell in the middle of this, but it's now going to rebuild into whatever the future is. So it feels like 101 is going to be in this almost post-apocalyptic version of the United States rebuilding, or I imagine the entire world. That's probably took over the entire world. I don't need to be jingoist about this at all. But yeah, that ends with us here. The book itself has a mention of the giant-sized Youngblood coming on, which was already released direct to consumer, but it was going to be coming out in advance in between 101 and the update that Leo and I had talked about recently. The Vault edition has been pushed back to September. And that is mentioned in the book. We get ads for Bad Rock and whatnot. What I will say, I will go through. This is such a long list, and I feel like going through. But we do have. I'll go through very, very quickly. We usually look through the eye colors of the Youngblood
Yeah,
book.
that's right.
Fascinated. Segment of the eye color changes.
Yeah. So in order of appearance, because I wasn't going to go start recategorize everything. Roman, normal eyes. The Shepherd has glowing red eyes. Shaft, normal eyes, human eyes. Diehard, glowing red. Sundance is glowing orange. Cabot, all white. Doc Rocket, I can't tell because of goggles. Photon, glowing green. Sentinel or Task, I'm guessing human eyes, but he's too far in the background and I can't tell anything. Cougar, I think normal. I think he has pupils. I couldn't really tell something there. Vogue, all white. Chapel Jr., glowing green. Rain, glowing blue. Prophet, glowing red. Scarab, I couldn't tell at first, but later it looks like he has normal eyes. Vandal, glowing red. Bad-Rock, glowing green. Maximage is glowing blue. Kodiak is glowing red. Bird and Pilot, too far away. I couldn't tell what their eyes are. Lord Chapel, glowing green. Members of the Keep and the Empyrean, with when you can see eyes, glowing red. Darkthorn is shooting red lasers out of his eyes. Does that count as glowing red? Loki, I couldn't tell. Tyrax, glowing red. Bowen, I couldn't tell. Getting near the end. Genie, all white eyes, later normal eyes. Extreme had normal eyes. Cabot has all white because he's in the mask. Big Brother and Primer, both glowing red eyes. So that was everything I could come up with on those eye sets. And I'm
Now,
not.
did they stay consistent this issue?
Yes, they did. No Die Hard back and forth, which I feel like would always be indicative of like good to evil, like a red to green or back and forth.
Yeah, or the Wi-Fi signal's out. You know, sometimes if you
yeah, just goes to full white and the head tilts over. Yeah, I was off put immediately by the I'm such a weird editor nerd at seeing Sentinel and Doc Rocket labeled the way they were. I wonder if that will get corrected for any kind of reprint. I'm looking for the second printing and see if they'll correct it for that. They didn't correct it for the first.
I try not to look for that stuff I mean that was not a great one. Um, but being fans, sometimes you pick up on things like the third issue, whichever issue. It's the fourth issue. Silence shows up, and Silence is known for being silent.
Yeah.
Like she talks to people through her mind, and that issue she's just talking. I'm like, I guess she can talk now. Sometimes the fan in you, or like the editor in you, the page that reveals Lord Chapel, that same issue 4, isn't a page turn. It's like you're reading the one page, and clearly you see Lord Chapel here the whole time. And I'm like, come on, like I wish like it should have been a page turn would have been a better like a holy crap moment,
Yeah.
Like Supreme was in number 1. Supreme, you don't know Supreme's there. You see a little red cape, you're like, oh, and then you turn the page, boom, Supreme. Kirkman is really good at that.
Well, sometimes there's something, and we think we're missing a story beat. And when we're talking to Marat, we were talking about the Last Blood Final Stand, and one of the characters, I forget off the top, I'll say Talon, had their name spelled a different way. And they were like, so is this like a multiverse version of Talon? Is this somebody else taking the thing? And he's like, when we handed it off and the guy was doing the lettering, he thought we had made a mistake, and then he put it in that other way. So there was no intention.
Just
yeah, it's a collaborative art and the things that happen when you have multiple hands on stuff. But we're like, what does this mean? And he's like, it means the guy spelled it wrong.
Is that funny? Like I immediately started thinking, oh, Marvel's X-23 called herself Talon at one point. The Talon's also the Court of Owls. There's the Talon character in Batman. No, he just spelled it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that's comics.
Yeah. So how do we all feel about this issue? How are we feeling? What's the temperature?
So a lot of the recent books, Rob, is like they've been pushing for the very early '90s extreme. It's nobody's like read this stuff from right before the companies broke apart. It's all going to like the first volume of Brigade or the very start. Now where we're going into Blood Brothers, it's kind of some of those first issues when they broke out of Malibu and they were in their first year on their own. A lot of those are not the strongest stories to me. And when again, a lot of the criticisms on Rob's work can be valid on the storytelling part, especially if you're not having something collected. The first volume of Youngblood, it was hard to read issue to issue as it was coming out because you would definitely have to go back. There wasn't a whole lot that had happened, and you had to refresh yourself as you're going through. And by the time you got to the end of 4 or 5 issues, you really hadn't progressed too far. You're kind of stretching stuff out. This felt, even though it was cobbled together, I feel like we got a complete story. There's definitely parts that fell off. And there are threads that were not followed. I'm still bothered by the time displaced people that were on the boat and were going back to like biblical times in Jerusalem and they were swapping people back, but we never went back to that because they just got obliterated when the keep arrived.
Yeah, well, what was the point of that was what we're saving people from our time by putting them in the year Jesus died, like just a weird year. That's the year they chose.
Or that they were transporting equipment and there was something about like the mass displacement.
Yes.
Yeah. They were like swapping people back and forth or
right. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like you could have this could have been 10 issues just because like we show up issue 3 and Xerxes beat the Supreme family. Well, that's maybe I'd like to see that. Or maybe I'd like to see the Keep take over. Like you're telling me you didn't want to draw an issue of the Keep winning?
I can't believe that took place all like off camera.
I was kind of it's kind of fascinating because the first 3 issues are kind of an exercise in like decompressed storytelling. Like you just do that whole boat incident takes 3 issues, and then the following 3 issues are an exercise in insane story compression.
Right.
Like and you have this and what's crazy is you have that first like issue 4 kind of feels like a setup issue. You feel like you're going to get the expanded kind of this world. And then you have issue 5, which is this kind of random diatribe of just like, we're going to do Shaft and Bad-Rockin in the jungle. We're going to do Roman fighting some robots. We're going to do, the like kind of key moment is the Die Hard battle, but like, the Die Hard escape.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like as you said, I feel like you could do like you could do like, I don't know, like 36 issues, do like 3 years of the of the thing taking over the planet, cover every extreme character. I mean, I'd happily write that book. That'd be awesome. But
I agree with
I'd
you.
love to see how that happened, the kind of internal, how the world changed over that period of time. There's like an amazing story there.
It is.
And
I said to
it's
Rob,
just,
you should do
yeah.
an issue 2.5 of like Xerxes and Supreme fighting. He's like, that's a good idea. Like it didn't even occur to him to do that. And this is, if you go back and read Youngblood #1, the original Youngblood #1, where does it end? With the home team about to fight the Four.
Yeah.
And then it stops. And he has pages drawn of that fight. He actually drew part of that fight. And it's just it never came out. But like,
and that feels like it's his bailiwick is that fight sequence stuff. You'd feel like lean heavier into that and do the voiceover boxes or whatever over the fight. It's yeah, you really should have had that other stuff. Or why wouldn't that be like where we included in #2 then when you're going into the next issue of something? Because the story didn't go crazy places. That fight it didn't go too much further than that. As when you have the quick invasion, I'm thinking of like Aid too, like the whole story bit that they get that big off world, it escape, and they come back. Like, but it 4 issues or like to get through that bit of story seemed like excessive in just introducing characters as you go through. Sorry, I'm just digressing on myself here. But
listen, as comic fans, it's hard for me to watch a TV show sometimes because I'll go to my wife. I'm like, do you want to know how it ends? And she's like, shut up. Because we have a writer's brain and we fill in the holes and we see that skip in Youngblood, that 3-year skip, and you're like, there's a lot of good stories there. Why is Maximich a dude now? Like what happened to the girl? Like what like how did Thor, let me see Thor get killed. How awesome would that story be? I really like that issue. But I just want more.
I had it on my website as part of the about. Like I've always thought of this universe in very similar to Lucas's Star Wars. You need all the Lucas stuff. Like you can't have anything there without that foundation that's there. But after decades of movies and video games and comic books and like everything else that I've seen, when I'm like, oh, the baddest ass moments kind of come from other creators that got to play with those toys after a bit. So I love Supreme. I enjoyed it as a kid. It's fun reading it back through, but like it becomes something else when Alan Moore steps in and starts playing with in that sandbox with those characters and is given free reign of something. So and then when you get like Blue Rose as a completely different style story, or any of the 2012 stories when not but specifically I'm thinking of A Prophet and Glory, of when you're giving that kind of freedom to somebody else to play with what you have. And I think he works better from that orchestrative point of working with teams. So now that he's come back and done Youngblood, I'm okay if he wants to be precious with that, keep that relationship if he can, of whatever. But anything else he puts out, I think he should just be fostering other people in the same way that McFarlane's been doing with his universe of books. I think you find people you work with can do their own voice and just grow out what you've been doing.
You kind of see that what Chris is describing as early as sort of Keith Giffen coming along, and he really kind of shapes Supreme. I feel like there's definitely a good hardcover in Giffen Supreme, and he kind of like he gives the most complex kind of mean Supreme, because I think the difference between Giffen's approach and Moore's approach is Giffen's approach is like, how can I make Liefeld's Supreme kind of complex? How can I give him a bit more depth than just angry Superman?
Yeah.
Whereas Moore just goes, I don't care about this. I just want to do what I want to do. Yeah. And, Moore Supreme, I genuinely believe is the greatest Superman story ever told. I love Supreme with a great passion. It's in my top 10 favorite comics ever written. But I feel like Giffen does the assignment. Giffen goes, how can I make this character more interesting? How can I elevate this character? And Moore just doesn't even attempt it. But yeah, it's like talented people taking, because like George Lucas, there are so many ideas there, but sometimes I think Rob struggles to express them in a way that thoroughly kind of conveys them. Like I think you were on the live stream, when Rob was talking the Whatnot live stream, when Rob was talking about the last page of this book, and he was like welling up and he was getting emotional about it. He's like, "This one's for you. This is an important thing to me." You know, he's like, clearly it's very an emotional thing for him, and I just can't see that on the page. You know, and I feel like sometimes Rob has these quite important and big ideas, and sometimes I feel like they don't quite translate. And I feel like those talented creators that kind of step in and help and build, I think they are important. And sometimes I worry Rob forgets about that, and then suddenly there's a bunch of other people helping and a bunch of other people creating stuff, and okay, he hasn't forgotten.
I think Rob likes to give us exactly it's what he thinks we want, but it's what he wants. It's what he
Yeah.
remembers, what he's nostalgic for. Like he remembers reading Defenders in the 70s and X-Men and Avengers, and it's just that's what he sees in his head, and then he's incorporating it into the style that he's garnered. And it's important to him, and it's that page could have taken him 2-3 days to draw. That's a big chunk of your life to do this stuff. So I understand where he's coming from. It's very hard to create. I hate writing, but I love when I've written something.
Yeah, I get that.
I love ideas. I got books and books of ideas. Writing it, ugh. And then you're done. You're like, I sometimes you don't even recognize your own writing. You're like, I can't believe I actually wrote this.
It's interesting. Sometimes I'm like that, and sometimes I'm really like enjoying it. It depends on what I'm writing. When I was writing the introspection, I had a blast doing that because I was creating insane stuff on the spot. When I'm working on my novel, I can get in that kind of state where I'm just like, tap it out. It'll be fine. I'll get to the other side of this chapter and I'll be good.
Yeah. But overall, I liked exactly what Rob wanted to do. He did a good job finishing up the story he wanted to tell, and being able to mix in stuff that he had laying around to help him save time. Like that was great. Like all the Youngblood Warzone, the Shaft in Africa story, the Echo 92 stuff.
Sure.
It's pronounced Echo.
Yeah. It makes sense as Echo. Yeah.
Well,
the joke is in the Echo. Yeah.
It's I think technically they're called Echo Squadron 92.
Yeah.
And they were created by a Dr. Echo. He said this once. So I wanted to tell you this. There's a Dr. Echo who creates them. So I don't know if they were supposed to be clones or this is his way of getting around the whole Youngblood ordeal. I was like, Rob, is there he didn't answer me. I said, is there like an Echo 99 that's like the Alan Moore Youngblood, or is there like an Echo 1 that could be like a Supreme clone? Like I was just kind of throwing him. I've done this before. In fact, last time I've pitched Supreme to him 3 times, and the last time I pitched it, he's like, Rob, he goes, you can tell me this in person. You can't write anything to me because it's all like I could sue him. Like if he accidentally used any of my ideas. So you can't blind submission a creator anymore.
Yeah, I know about this.
You know, of course, you're more in that field.
Yeah, but I want to pitch, like I've got a comic that I'm constantly talking about that I want to do called Battlestone Hubris. I don't know if you've heard me talking about this on another episode.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, my idea that the Battlestone is kind of a shit hero, and kind of this idea of him coming to terms with that, and maybe you could use it to transition from old Battlestone to how he is kind of now. But yeah, I'm always thinking, because I didn't originally like Brigade. It was like always my least favorite. Whenever I was reading through, I was always just like, oh, okay, another issue of Brigade. And it starts to get interesting just before they all die. At least from my perspective, it's just like you start to get like some complexity to these characters, and you start to see something emerge, and then they're all brutally murdered. But then it got me thinking. I was like, Battlestone spends all of his time saying, I'm gonna do all the missions the government wouldn't let me do. I'm gonna do it for the people. But most of the time, he just spends hanging out with his friends and maybe occasionally helping someone else out for a favor.
Well, they die one by one. Yeah.
I love that they kind of die twice because they die in Images of Tomorrow. Which did you guys know? And I don't know if you follow me or not. So I've seen this one. I just posted it. They solicited Brigade number 26 after Images of Tomorrow. Like their idea was to have 2 monthly Brigade books for a minute, like one set in the future, one set in that day, and I'm like, that would have been awesome. It never came out, but
yeah,
that would have been a lot of fun.
This is one of my conspiracy theories in here, and I don't think I've talked about it on here yet. But just recently, you posted an image that's an '86 Youngblood image that includes Thumbelina. and
Yes.
as part of the Youngblood grouping there in the shot. So what I'm looking for before I get deep into anything is the original Youngblood 1987 only gets the early interviews with Liefeld were a story that was in the teens, and I think I once read like into like a 20 or 22 page, but like it was more than a handful of pages that he had done that he was showing off as his story of Youngblood. Uh, when it got published in the hardcover, they only did 7 pages, and it does include the shrunk down Thumbelina on the table and then talking with people, but she's never called by name. I do know Thumbelina is obviously a character that he did incorporate into New Mutants before he decided not to do Cougar. So we almost lost Cougar to the Marvel universe, but we definitely lost Thumbelina. My conspiracy theory is that we'll never see those other pages because she's named, and we don't get to see because he doesn't own that anymore, that it's not something that he can print beyond that. There's a point in the story with her getting named in something going through. So i'm I'm trying to figure out where she went as a thing, and if that's the reason why I'm not going to see a complete
I
87.
wonder. I mean, couldn't we get to the bottom of that? Because like Rob published like an Ashcan version of that whole story.
But I'm pretty sure that's
But it's
just
only
to
the
show
same,
off the
it's the
colored
same
art.
pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's the same 7 pages.
All right.
But every interview from the early 90s when he was like, oh, I've been doing Youngblood for years and yada yada, it wasn't a 7 page story he was showing off. It was like in the teens. And I'm thinking the other half of the story is something he obviously has, but I don't think it's something he can necessarily share.
Also, you have that character Sonic, who ends up being Tempo on the Mutant Liberation Front.
Oh. Okay.
So that's another
Didn't realize that
character.
too. Yeah, okay.
She's the one with more like the bullet shaped head.
Huh.
Is she in that picture? She's definitely on the cover to Youngblood 1, the Jerry Ordway inked
Yeah.
cover. Jerry Ordway, by the way, had told me that like when Rob asked him to do the cover, he just assumed it was going to be like a single character or two on the cover. He didn't realize it was a double cover with like 100 characters. He goes, I still did it. He goes, I really like Rob. Rob was a really nice kid. So he goes, I had fun doing it, but it's not what I expected.
Yeah. It became a much bigger ask instantly. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I think seeing a comic exploring the Youngblood 100 time period, the kind of whole, the 3 years and everything like that, everything included, it's going to be. I would love to see that. Like I said, I would happily write that, but I feel like someone. So
We could revisit
someone
like a
should do
strike
that.
file. Let somebody do short stories set in there.
Here's my pitch. I wanted Rob to do a series of Youngblood yearbooks, just a new Youngblood yearbook series. Do like 1 or 2 a year, where you do the modern year that you're set in, the Youngblood yearbook 2026, but then also here's Youngblood yearbook 1993, and you tell a story from 1993, or you do Youngblood yearbook 2008, and it's Joe Casey's last issue, which is drawn. You know, here's
I've seen those pages. They're gorgeous.
So you can finish up these stories that bother us, especially Eric Stevenson and Roger Cruz's. For me, Youngblood, the unpublished Youngblood 12 and 13, like are one of my like, I wish you could do that series so much like that, because the issue 12 had Newman, issue 13. Actually, let me show you something. This is the unpublished cover to Youngblood 13.
Oh,
you've seen it in color.
Look at that.
You've seen it in color in an ad. It's where Die Hard's supposed to fight the Iron Cross. Oh, down here's a little Bad-Rock sketch that Rob gave me the first time I met him back in 1996.
I have a piece of original art that I really want to buy that I've been watching for the past like year, and I've finally got money coming in, but it's like $4,000. But I want it more than you could ever imagine. I won't say what it is because someone will find it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cover. It's a cover to a comic. It's a cover to a comic that I really love, and I found someone is selling it, and it's not been sold thus far. And I just keep on looking at it. I'm like, one day I'm going to save up enough money to purchase this thing, but it'll probably be sold by the time I do.
Being an original art collector today sucks. That cost me $200. I have a rejects cover inked by John Sybil that cost me like $100. You know, Rob gave me this page. That's a present. It's a page from Judgment Day.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm like, I'm like, can you please, like, if you're gonna give me a page, you gave me a page that's written by Alan Moore and has Die Hard on it, which is like my favorite Youngblood character. So like that.
You're talking about the price range that I'm looking at when I'm doing original art, like that 100 to 200 range is like that. Like
that's a thing of the past. You know, it's
so like I have a check in my head. It's like, oh, when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, I have an Alan Moore page because I have one of the Eric Larson pages from Supreme when they came back, that first issue back. That's technically the Alan Moore script.
Oh yeah, you have one of those pages.
Yeah. And then when Leonard starts like, oh, I have a Stan Lee page, and he's like, oh, from what? Ravage 2099. I'm like, yup, Ravage 2099.
That's awesome. What did you get it from Corey? Did you get that from Corey Hampshire or?
Yeah, I did.
He's a pretty nice guy. He's having I think some eye problems. It kind of sucks.
So
that's why but he's working on because he was going to draw Youngblood for Chad Bowers.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then that book never ended up happening. That's when Rob lost the rights briefly to the Andrew Rev guy.
Yeah.
I got to show you guys my comic about that. I wrote a comic years ago, like just kind of making fun of the whole ordeal. But the other books I did, I do a bunch of funny stuff. I don't know if you ever saw. I have an Awestruck Comics Facebook page, and it's just I did a bunch of like parody stuff. I really started collecting comics through like Mad Magazines was like my first. So I'm a big fan of parody stuff. So I did a whole parody comic about that, and then I stopped doing it. And then my artist like, hey, let's finish this. And so we kind of finished it up the past couple of weeks. I don't know if Rob's gonna. I thought Rob should be okay with that. I'm not making fun of him. I'm not making fun of Rob. I'm just making fun of the fact that this guy who I don't know if English was his second language. Yeah. Did you guys follow that at all?
Well, here's the thing. On the first episode of this podcast, at least I think it was the first episode, we talked about I have found 2 artists hired by Andrew Rev to do.
That's right. You did mention
Kid Supreme posted the entirety of the art for those 2 issues. Like, I mean, it's the same issue, but drawn by 2 different people who both didn't get paid. On the first episode, we talked about, like, if we ever got any, like, Patreon money, we would use it to fund coloring and finding the script for that comic so we could see what it was meant to be.
So he did the Kid Supreme comic. He did a comic where Kid Supreme is now an adult and called Supreme. I have a bunch of pages from everything. I gathered everything I could find. The guy who was going to draw Youngblood, Bruno Abdias, I think his name is, drew 6 issues. He's got 6 issues drawn of that Youngblood. Yes, no joke. And I have some pages. And I have all the covers he put on his social media stuff. Yeah.
Is the Supreme art? Is that a Sean Ivanko?
Is that the? There's one where he's like an adult and he's in a bed and he's like, I guess his mom's alive. Maybe his dad has passed. If you
I do know there was one artist that was in the. I loved that was one of the last like good rows in Twitter was watching people savage Andrew Rev.
My comics definitely made for you guys.
Yeah,
I'll send it over. I'll definitely check it out.
But this artist who didn't get paid then for his stuff, he did a sketchbook that he put out that then just had like unlettered pages of his.
Oh, that's fun.
Supreme. And I'm like, I think this is the only thing that got printed from all of the Rev efforts that he was making. I think this is the only thing that saw actual print to paper.
Every part of that was a bad idea. Every part he was going to do a Chapel series. He actually got Larry Stroman to draw a cover for Chapel.
Wow.
Cool.
You guys ever see that?
No.
Okay.
I do know he posted almost everything as it came in. He wasn't subtle about like keeping.
Chris, we could. I would love to like archive this. I mean, you have a website. We can probably.
That's right. You could probably do a whole thing of like the unpublished, the untalked about, the name we don't mention, or whatever. He who shall not be spoken of.
But I'd love to archive those stories because I mean, despite the fact that they were a terrible idea, the artwork for some of those things was so gorgeous. I would love to be able to make sure that they're preserved, because they're kind of in risk of being lost media,
I feel bad for those guys because, see, to me, I'm a UBS driver. I'm a union guy. So to me, it was like scabs, the people who cross the picket lines.
Yeah.
Like, I know comic artists need work, and I'm not knocking them for that. But I always knew, like, Liefeld would get the rights back. Like, I always knew. Because I had conversations with them, and it was always a bad deal. And Scott Mitchell Rosenberg, I think, regretted it from the get-go. He didn't even, and then he claimed he didn't know about the deal, like it was done behind his back. It was a bunch of very weird situation. He's like, "Oh, my company did it behind my back." It's like, "Oh, the company you own?" You know,
yeah.
company that has your, it's called Ripley Media. That's literally your company. So, to me, it's like, and then when I seen people actively try to work for him because Liefeld didn't hire them, I've seen that there's two different cases of that. These people, and I'm like, well, you're kind of like a scab there. Like, you're only trying to get this work because Liefeld didn't hire you, and now this guy will hire anyone because he's not going to pay you.
Everything he had out was like, here's your page rate. If we sell 250,000 copies, and it's like, oh, buddy. I like the market at the time. It's like, those are figures you're just not going to hit. And then he would throw that out to cover artists too. It was like, well, like you could do a variant, and if your variant sold 50,000 copies, it's like, ooh.
And then he says to Rob, "Hey, why don't you talk to Marvel for me? We'll do Deadpool Youngblood, and then Cable Youngblood." And I'm like, if Rob wanted to do that, he would have done that himself. He's not going to do that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said some insane stuff. He was like, "I'm going to get Alan Moore back to do."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody pitched him like, "Oh, here's my new character, Cyberfrog." He's like, "Yeah, I'll use your character, Cyberfrog. Like, we can make Cyberfrog part of Youngblood."
Yeah.
It was just funny.
This is an ongoing debate that you've just I've kind of reminded myself of. What Alan Moore scripts actually are unpublished? Because we were asking Murat about this, because no one would show Murat the Glory scripts. When he was doing Glory, they refused to let him see them. So how many Glory scripts are still out there?
Supposedly there's 4 Glory scripts. But Jeff Loeb has said, "Oh, yeah, there's like 7." But Jeff Loeb, he exaggerates. I love Jeff a lot. Jeff used to show up on that forum I was telling you guys about earlier, the Awesome Army. Yep. Jeff Loeb was like, "Oh yeah, we got like 7 or 8 Glory scripts," and I'm pretty sure there's 4. There's 4 War Child scripts, but also heavy descriptions in a 4-hour Rob Liefeld conversation with Alan Moore. We got the Supreme script, even though we know there's a plot for the last issue that we never got. So, like, we got 63, the first Larson issue, but there's a plot for 64 that, Eric Larson didn't know of or couldn't get. And then, about all the Youngblood stuff because Mike Shea did his collection. You read all those, right?
Yeah, I've read all the Alan.
Okay, scripts, they're great. The scripts are great. What Mike Shea did was really good. What's funny is I was trying to do the same thing as Mike. It's funny. We all think of these same parallel lines, and I want to do the same thing Mike did, but Mike, he went hardcore, doubled down, found an artist, drew them all. Took the other Alan Moore plots and made stories around them. Mike Shea did a really good job of that. Different things that I would have done, but interesting still, nevertheless.
I really need to get Mike on. I've been the thing is, I was kind of nervous because Mike isn't a big kind of Liefeld, like he kind of enjoys the kind of awesome area of Extreme,
which I 100% get.
But I just kind of like this show, at least at the beginning, was just like, we're going to do one issue of Youngblood, the new Youngblood, and then we're going to have our fandom guest. But now that we're just getting guests on to just chat with them regardless, I mean, obviously you're one of the sort of like main episode guests. But
it's so weird to even hear that. Because I don't think of myself that way, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I literally go out to dinner with Rob like every time I hang out with him.
I mean, I've been meaning to reach out for a while, and obviously I did reach out like a few months ago, and then it just just kind of finding a slot.
No, you're right. And talking about Youngblood 100 is a really good issue to talk about. I think you would ask for me for Giant Size, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, because they got flipped around, because I think Giant Size was at one point going to come out before 100, and then I
think it was always going to come out after 100. It just got when 100 got delayed, Giant Size got even more delayed, and then Image decided to add like 40 pages to it of like bonus material from the direct to consumer edition. Did you notice that? It's like 70 pages in some stations.
I noticed.
So who even knows? Can you imagine if he does like foil covers for that and stuff? Oh my goodness. Yeah, like I said, I try not to. It's a crazy collection. Oh, Chris, I wanted to ask you. Do you remember the character from Local Man yet? The extra hand coming out of the jail cell? Did you go back and?
There was the one that I didn't know. We did. I did get the answer on it. Yeah.
Do you remember it, or do you still forget?
It is. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll tell you why I didn't know who it was. Is Tiger something or other?
Oh, the Tiger Files.
Yes, the ad.
Stupid number 1.
Right, where there's the ad, but the book never appeared.
Yes.
So it was a gotcha because it's that guy's costume. They liked the costume, but the book never happened. So I didn't no idea who this character was, but it's a character from an ad.
It's
And
funny because I initially thought it was the Tiger Files because I'm ridiculous like that.
uh,
I actually
good
have
on
a
you.
Tiger. What's funny is I have that ad set aside for a future posting on Twitter.
Okay, yeah.
And the other character, which would have been awesome. You ever heard of Rival? Rival. It's another thing. It's a Jim Lee character, big Superman looking guy, but they only show him kind of a silhouette. And he's like,
Okay.
Rival coming soon to Wildstorm. He never came.
Fair enough.
But it was just funny. Like that's another character my friend and I were talking about recently.
It makes me curious. Since you have kind of Rob's ear, so to speak, has Rob read like Local Man and Blood Squad 7? Like, is he like how does he feel about those two books? Because they're both kind of riffs.
I think Local Man he's more in favor of, although he didn't give permission for the whole Shelley thing.
Yeah.
Like when we were reading Local Man, we didn't know that Youngblood was coming back. So when they start hinting at Shelley, I'm like, wow, is this like the introduction to Extreme? And Joe Casey said he had no clue Youngblood was coming back, or else he wouldn't have done Blood Squad 7.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't think Rob really particularly. See, here's the thing about Rob. I hesitate to talk because when I did a review of I did a couple of reviews on my podcast of Youngblood, and he's like, I don't know your friend. Is he cool? He goes, because I'll promote it. I'll allow it on the page as long as guys aren't like shitting on me. I'm like, no, we're not going to shit on you because he's just so used to hearing people shit on him. So like if I have criticisms of Rob, I don't really like spout them because I just don't, he's working his ass off. All these guys, I try not to be critical, and I bring that up on my show a lot. I'm like, these guys are working their butts off. Even the worst comic took a guy a month to draw, and stay with movies. The worst movie in the world had hundreds of people working on it.
Right.
Trying to do their best. So like when when Rob talks about Local Man, I don't think he fully read them, to be honest with you. I think he looked at them, skinned them, but he's all about the art. He's always art over writing.
Yeah.
And the guy who draws, like, I like Tony Fleeks, super nice guy, hardcore Roger Cruz fan. Him and I bullshit about Roger Cruz for like an hour, and he's got a lot of good Roger Cruz pages too. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Roger Cruz show up on like Deathstroke right now. But I don't think Rob cares. I don't think Rob cares about Youngblood stuff. I actually stopped doing a book. I had a Youngblood pastiche book happening. I'm still going to do it one day because it's part of a bigger story. But like once Youngblood got announced, which I kind of knew about it beforehand, I said, I can't do this book anymore. All the air in the room is going to go to Youngblood. And that's what happened to Blood Squad 7. Nobody talks about it. And it's a good book. I like Blood Squad 7. I mean, I like Local Man too.
I felt
like Local Man and Blood Squad 7 and was it Free Agents? There was another one I think that was also kind of. I feel like they're done lovingly. It's not a criticism.
It's not of criticism.
What Rob should have done or something, or it's a reference that's made like you and I, where this is something from my teen years that now I'm nostalgic for. So why not have a flavor of that in here as well? Like I can see if he was maybe not necessarily the biggest fan of it because he wasn't in charge of it. Like he didn't get to approve or disapprove or give notes on it as it was going. So he's going to be critical of it. I get that, but it's.
But he's not negative about it.
Turn him off. That he was like, oh yeah, well, it's that. I mean, I know he worked with Steely, but he wouldn't like Fleet and be like, and Fleeks just did. I think Fleeks did the for the reprint of 100.
Yeah,
Fleeks
contributed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's got his
the
strays.
Yeah.
It's an animal.
Yeah,
it's an animal.
I feel bad for Blood Squad 7. I feel like it's always been in the shadow of something. Like when Blood Squad 7 was first coming out, Local Man was still going, and I was like, Local Man was just blowing me away, and Blood Squad 7 I felt kind of suffered in comparison, and then it really started to ramp up, and I was like, this is awesome, and then Youngblood starts coming out again.
No.
I just felt Blood Squad 7 was always kind of in the shadow of something else, and I felt it's a solid book, but it's kind of unfortunate timing.
I think so if you read the end of Blood Squad 7, you both caught up?
I'm not caught up, but I'm not worried about a spoiler, so go ahead.
Okay, it's not a real spoiler. It ends, and he's like, coming soon, Blood Squad 7 3.0, which is like an homage to his Wildcats, which is his Wildcats run is phenomenal. So I'm like, all right, if you want to take it in that direction, that's great. And then I think to myself, until Jim Lee does Wildcats next year, not that Jim Lee, you know, I mean, it is the 35th anniversary of Image next year, so I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Lee does something. Not that he's going to draw it, you know.
Yeah, it took a long time for that Hush 2 to get where it is. It was not coming out monthly.
You know what I would love? Jim Lee should go do a Wildcats Superman crossover book, because you'd get the 35th anniversary of Wildcats along with the new Superman movie.
Sure.
Like those two together would be, then give us a Treasury edition. I'm a big fan of those Treasury editions,
I mean,
by the way.
I like the idea you gave earlier. Instead of committing to a series, do a series of one-shots, and then as many as you want, like a yearbook series. You do one or two, never do it again. Who can say? You do 7 of them, but you can do the same idea. It's as opposed to committing to something for so long as a stretch. But people,
I mean, I have something I want from Jim Lee. I don't know if Chris, if you can remember what it is I want from Jim Lee. I've said it on the podcast. This is like
I don't remember at the top.
Okay, so I was starting to get into it, and then we kind of went on a tangent, which is that I famously, I don't know famously, but like to myself it's famous, is that I love like poorly reviewed comics. I'm fascinated by them. Right. And my favorite comic of all time is All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder.
I thought you were going to say Divine Right. I was like, no, come on. I can't defend Divine Right.
No. All-Star Batman. I'm just fascinated by that book. It's just such an insane odyssey of a comic. And Frank Miller has written 2 more issues of it, like that were handed into DC. Yep. That's what I want. I just want to see, like, I want more issues of that. Like, I've got an appreciation for it. It's an acquired taste, and I think there's more to it than people give it credit. I think that there is some complexity to it, even if it's not all well done. But like the artwork is some of my favorite Jim Lee, and I just would
you accept someone else drawing that?
A good artist, someone I mean, who would
you want someone like from Wildstorm, or you want someone modern? Like a Jorge Jimenez drawing it, or like a Brett Booth drawing it?
I mean, my favorite modern artist is Jason Fabok, but
he's so good.
If we got him to do it, it would take like 20 years. So I'm trying to think of like an artist I like right now that would be able to pull off that level of insanity and really kind of like also give it the detail.
He's got that Jim Lee vibe to him. Like I'm a big fan of Three Jokers. I think Three Jokers.
Oh, I love Three Jokers was what got me into sort of mainstream comics because I grew up reading the Archie Sonic comic, which I adore that comic. It's amazing. It's a kind of underrated gem. People think, like a Sonic comic from Archie, but it's genuinely fantastic. You go from about
it's a solid book. I read some of it. I mean, especially read the Jim Valentino Image crossover issue,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I grew up reading that, and then when I was a kid, I watched this YouTube channel called Game Theory, and he would talk about kind of video games and stuff, and then he kind of branched out to do film theory, and he did an episode on what was kind of at the time an insane idea. It was like, what if DC did multiverse movies? Wouldn't that be cool? And like this was like way ahead of its time before like anyone had thought of the idea of doing multiverse movies. But he was like, and there's this new comic upcoming called The Three Jokers. And I looked at like the cover and I was like, this looks amazing. And I was like, I've always been kind of a big fan of the Joker. He's one of my favorite like fictional characters. I've just always been fascinated by the character. And so every day, not every day, but like every time I would go into the comic shop, this is like kid me. I was probably like 12 or 13. Probably older than that, but like that's just how I'm remembering it. I was probably older than that, but like every time I go in, I'd be like, is the Three Jokers coming? Is it out? Is it coming? And I remember to the point where in my local comic book guy used to have like a comic talk show, and when Three Jokers came out, he was like, yeah, there's this kid that's been going in and asking for like years and years about it. It's finally out, so congratulations. I can remember the exact place I was when the first teaser art came out. I was working in an office, and I remember just like quickly checking on like Fabok's Twitter when it was still Twitter, and you could still look at it without having to log in, and you could. It was a
he's so good.
Time.
The downside of that book is it came out the same time Tinian was doing his Joker War, and that took all the air out of the room, but it's still a
Yeah.
great book. Did you read the epilogue?
Yeah, I read the epilogue.
All right, it's a great epilogue.
It's a great epilogue.
It's in Joker of the World, right?
Joker of the
Joker
World. Yeah.
You know, and they have an idea for a sequel, and DC is like, nah.
No, what happened was the plan was they were going to do a sequel that was going to carry on from the ending of Three Jokers, but Ghost Machine has kind of just become their thing now, because I think originally they were like, oh, Faber's going to do 6 issues of Rook, and then he's going to come back. And then I think at the moment it's just like we got the Joke of the World thing, and I think at the moment Johns is like, I think that's going to have to do for the time being, because Faber is a fantastic artist, but he is slow as all hell. So I don't think we're gonna. If we do see a Three Jokers follow up, I don't think it's gonna be for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it because I do enjoy the Ghost Machine books. I'm a big fan, especially Red. I think Redcoat might be my favorite, but
same here actually. I love Redcoat, and like I said, Faybook is my favorite, probably my favorite modern artist, and I think Redcoat.
I'm a little
tops.
upset that Redcoat wasn't in the second printing of Youngblood 100.
Yeah,
because they did a Ghost Machine variant, and it's like, oh, cool, Geiger, and but like, they put the Halo in Hornsby.
Yeah, I haven't been following that kind of area of it. I've been doing Hyde Street, I've been doing all of the unnamed, and I've been doing.
That's exactly. I'm more into that stuff. The Halo Hornsby, I read it, but I'm like, I love the unnamed stuff a lot more.
Yeah, so do I. Maybe Gary Frank. Gary Frank could probably pull off All Star, but
But again, tied up.
Yeah,
he's not leaving.
Frank Whiteley could do that kind of a story, but again, too expensive. I'm trying to think of people who could do. I mean, I don't have a love for John Romita Jr., but he's done a lot of Frank Miller stuff. He might be able to do it. Like he did.
I think Marvel's. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's. There's a guy I like named Ramon Villalobos. He's got kind of a Frank Whiteley style. He just did a book called "They're All Terrible" for Bad Idea Comics, and it's just like a Conan brutal R-rated like crazy comic. I wouldn't mind seeing him take on Batman or Superman.
Because I know that because the reason that All Star Batman and Robin hasn't come back, in amongst many reasons, is that interestingly enough, because it was Tom King who finally gave us the revelation as to why it never happened. Is he was at the Eisners in 2016, and Jim Lee and Frank Miller were like, "We'd like to have a word with you," and they were like, "What if you wrote the last 4 issues of All Star Batman and Robin?" And basically, what King was saying was that Jim Lee wants to go even more insane, and I think Jim Lee was trying to egg on Frank Miller to go as nuts as possible. And I think Frank Miller wanted to tone it down and kind of do a more emotional ending. You can definitely see that in issue 10. Kind of goes a bit, sort of more somber, and you kind of get that revelation that I think Bruce is trying to be a better father to this child that he's basically kidnapped. And there's a kind of tragicness, especially if you've read Strikes Again, you know exactly how that relationship ends.
Right.
But, Miller wants to go more somber and kind of finish it on a sort of, more sort of emotional note. And I think Jim Lee wanted to go more crazy and open up the scope. And I think,
who would be good?
Yeah.
Raphael Grandpa. Because he wrote Dark Knight Golden Child one shot, which is beautiful.
Oh yeah,
you read that? And he's currently doing Batman Gargoyle.
Oh yes, finally just out now. Yes. It's been it was coming up basically yearly. It's out now.
He wouldn't be a bad guy for the All-Star Batman. Speaking of All-Star, Grant Morrison had like an idea for another 6 issues of All-Star Superman, with like Superman in hell and Superman meeting Batman and Robin. Like
what? Huh.
Yes, I'm like, come on. He talked about it in interviews.
That's
he also
crazy.
He also had a Multiversity sequel that.
Yeah, Flash 2.
Yes, and what else he talked about? Arkham Asylum too, which whatever. I like Arkham Asylum, but I don't love it. I don't love it like I love Killing Joke.
I love Multiversity.
I love it.
It's one of the few things I had on the site that was kind of outside of stuff of having to do all the Multiversity. Dark Knight Returns, having to do all of that was one I'm working on now that he actually touched on too. I just don't have up yet. Is Jeff Johns has done everything he can for a while now to make Killing Joke as canon as possible, by all the way up and through the world when we were talking as a thing.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
he's doing
So-
everything. Starting with like I think it was a Booster Gold issue where like he started bringing that in
Yeah.
as a thing.
Oh yeah.
That's a
He's
really
been doing
that's a
it
really good
while.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff
But
Johns,
I get that out.
he's he's got a Youngblood story.
Oh
that
yeah.
he
Rob
wrote-
just mentioned that on the latest episode of his podcast.
Oh yeah. But-
Yeah, yeah.
The one from this weekend? I didn't listen to the one from this weekend yet.
Yeah, on this today's episode.
Okay.
Well, it's like weekend, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he told me about that. I'm like, what? He's got a Joe Casey Youngblood Strike File story that like he wrote when he was a kid. Like, the lead singer who passed from Linkin Park, he wanted to be an extreme artist, I think.
Huh.
It's funny. I love that stuff.
But you were talking earlier about the idea of a Youngblood yearbook, and I don't know if you saw it on the Bad Rock Reddit. I wrote this article, a series of I think it was like 3 or 4 articles called Youngblood Deluxe Ultimate, which was trying to fit all of the Youngblood material into the 96 issues, 94 issues before Youngblood 95, and trying to fit in everything, including like unreleased material and finish off storylines. And it was a very complex process to try and work out how it would work. And you have to basically throw in a giant-sized issue every now and then to fit everything in. But I attempted it.
Rob hit me up before you put that list out. He's like, "Is this right?" And he sends me a list of what he thinks Youngblood 1 through 100 is. And I took a picture and sent it to my friends. I'm like, "Isn't it weird that this is my life sometimes?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the idea that Rob Liefeld, asked me, and I kind of disagree with him on some stuff. And when I initially wrote my own Youngblood 1 through 100 years ago, I did the same thing you did. I left spaces for Imperial, 2, 3, and 4, and room for his Youngblood Warzone, and it's funny. Like Rob Liefeld's like, "Oh, Youngblood 0 counts as Youngblood 1, so Youngblood 1 through 11 is Youngblood 0 through 10." I'm like, "No, Rob, it should be Youngblood 0. And then you still have room for 1 through 100. Like we have, he's funny. Like I'm like, "Well, you got to include Awesome Adventures because that's kind of the Youngblood 3." And like you did initially, I left room for Youngblood 4 through whatever else Alan Moore had written. In the end, you just go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I wrote into it that you'd go Alan Moore, you'd add in 4 to 7, and then you do an epilogue written by Joe Casey that would bridge the gap between the ending of Moore and the beginning of Casey's run. That was my idea. Like things like that, like trying to knot everything together, like doing an epilogue for Volume 2 that would lead. I had this idea that I'd love to do is to write an epilogue to Volume 2 that ends with Riptide walking into the Youngblood base. So you could go
that would be
directly into Judgment Day.
Well, that would fit with the yearbook idea because, like, you go yearbook. One yearbook could be Youngblood 12, which was double size and was supposed to have the new man in it. And then Youngblood 13 had Iron Cross. Like, you just finish those stories out in these yearbooks.
Yeah.
And like we said, the Joe Casey, and like you said, you can add epilogues to every one of them leading into the next one.
Yeah, because like the idea was basically, what if someone wanted to get into Youngblood and didn't want to have to read every single spin-off? If you could take the Youngblood Deluxe idea and apply it to everything, and you could make it a coherent, ongoing narrative.
I thought he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
you know what else I did?
I would.
Yes. He said it, and then he kind of backpedaled. You know what else I did?
What?
I said, "Rob, you got to have a better Youngblood number 5. Like maybe take your troll pages from Image 0.
Yeah.
And then I said, your Deathmate Red pages are like phenomenal. So I went and I rescripted Deathmate Red and recolored Bloodshot to look like Chapel. Just a little Photoshop. I'm not really good at it, but I'm like, Rob, so I sent it to Rob and said, "Here's kind of a proof of concept. It's poorly lettered. I just kind of redid it myself. Very fanny." He's like, "Rob, I love this idea, but I can't make it happen because I don't have the original art." And I'm like, "Okay." So I kind of left it at that. I think I posted the pages once on the Liefeld boards. Like, hi, look, everyone. It's kind of a fun rescripting of that story.
Yeah.
I want to send you my Youngblood Deluxe Ultimate list and try pitching that to him, because I put a lot of hard work into trying to see if I could fit in everything into one book.
I feel like part of the reason that 2012, like Prophet succeeded, but I feel like the reason like Supreme didn't succeed is because you didn't have the Alan Moore issues ready available. You only had those terrible checker trades. and they're
Yeah.
terrible.
Well,
I initially bought the hardcovers to them. I was so excited, and then when I got them, I'm like, this is garbage. Like, how could you take one of my favorite Supreme stories of all? It's my favorite Supreme story of all time. There's no better Supreme story, and it's just terrible. Looks like you just took a picture from like 5 feet away. They're really bad trades, and their Judgment Day trade is just as bad. And they had a Youngblood trades listed that was going to be the first 2 Alan Moores with the +1 issue and the story from the holiday special, but that never ended up coming out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
As far as I know.
I'm trying to send you the Youngblood Ultimate Deluxe. I kind of want your opinion on it because like there's levels of Extreme Universe experts and you're pretty much at the top. You actually like Rob asks you for advice.
Sure.
It's funny. He has.
So I feel like I want your opinion on this list because I spent so much time working on this list. I want to hear your take on this. Whilst I have access to you, I want to see what you think of it.
Okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to condense the strike file. That's all really. It's funny. It's like you do it in order of the story. See, that's the good question. Because what would Rob do? I think Rob would come in and just do his Liefeld issues of Youngblood, and then I think he'd do Strike File, and then he'd do Team Youngblood, like to where like originally you do Youngblood 4 and then Team Youngblood 1, and it's all mixed together.
Yeah, there are crossovers where they go back and forth, right? So
yes,
you need
and then
any true legacy numbering has to do the back and forth. You can't just say
I think
that. Yeah.
I've sent you the other 2 parts of the list. I want to see if you you appreciate some of the accommodations and adjustments I had to make it all work and be one coherent story.
No, I like what you're doing here. There's something to be said about like separating. Like he really needs. I do wish like I could quit my job and go help Rob run Extreme.
Yeah.
Like that's like let me go through your warehouses, your Raiders of the Lost Ark level warehouses.
Yep.
Find the unpublished stuff. Find the best quality scans or digital files, or he may have stuff on CDs. He may have film. You ever hear the story about Dale Keown and Pitt?
I know of them, but I don't know what story.
Okay. Well, the story is he kept all his Pitt files. They were film in a storage place that he forgot to pay.
Oh.
And then there was a flood. Maybe some of them got damaged, but then somebody, like Storage Wars, bid on his locker and wanted it, and he doesn't know who has it. So that's why there's not a Pitt trade or Pitt hardcover collection, which would sell.
Fair, like what was that Jim Shooter company? There was a lot of Jim Shooter companies.
Valiant to Defiant to Broadway.
I think it was Defiant. Company. I think Defiant did a crossover called Nexus. I think. I can't remember if it was Nexus, something like that. I can't even be sure.
You mean Valiant with Unity? Valiant with Unity?
No. It was one of the smaller ones.
All right, yeah, Defiant.
So it was all.
I think
drawn.
You're on something. All right, I'm listening.
Okay, it was all drawn, and then it was never published. Right? It was like a 3-issue miniseries. All of the pages were drawn, but it was never published. All those pages existed out there, right, in various different forms, and one guy collected all of them, restored them, and then did a Kickstarter and got all 4. Is it 3 or 4 issues?
I think
published.
It's 4 issues.
And it's like
we actually covered this on my podcast. I forgot about this.
Yeah, but yeah, if you could do that, I feel like there must be a way of doing this.
I talked to Todd Knock. Todd Knock drew Youngblood versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Got solicited. He penciled the whole thing, and then he sent it off to like 4 or 5 different inkers. And he's like, he goes, I don't think I got that whole story back. He goes, I should just get it and put out at Ashcan. I said, you should. I said, or we just color the Power Rangers different, call them the crazy Blood Guard, and then you make like a, you have a Youngblood comic.
Yeah.
Yep, that's another Youngblood yearbook. It's done artwork. You utilize it.
It feels like what Youngblood 2025 is reclaiming past artwork and then again adding to it to get to a story, but it feels like work that was done. Why are we just letting that sit? Like,
I feel a sense of I'm so happy to get those pages printed in a story, but I do feel a sense of loss because we don't know what the rest of that was. Like the Youngblood Warzone stuff, that's the Task Vogue Die Hard story that he recolored for Youngblood #5.
Mhm.
There's like I've seen 10 other pages drawn by an artist, a totally different artist. Like that story continues by a different artist, and I wonder
okay.
that shaft in Africa, what was that supposed to lead to? You know,
Yeah.
we know that the Die Hard pages in the beginning are part of Blood War. Like, are we never? I guess we're never going to see Blood War
Right.
No.
again. That'd be a good annual. Finish up Chad Bauer's run.
I mean, I'm happy he hasn't reused any Bloodsport pages because I want
That's a different
Bloodsport.
animal.
Hope
finish.
springs eternal that you'll get that as your new thing.
Just like he has
just
pages
want
for
it.
Youngblood Imperial Zero. Like he has pages for Youngblood Imperial Zero. We didn't even know that was a comic.
He's according to him, 90% of issue 0 is done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to post those pages, the Shaft Imperial and the Warzone stuff. I was going to post that. And I did ask Rob beforehand. I'm like, hey, is it cool to post these? He goes, I'd rather you not. I'm like, he's going to use them. That's when I knew, like, he had something planned. So whenever I have, like, I do ask Rob. There was something I asked him this week. Like, can I post this? He's like, yeah, after I'm dead. I'm like, all right. It's a Youngblood 86 thing. It's a Youngblood 87 thing. He goes, yeah, after I'm dead. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
I mean, to be fair, those pages are on his website and have been since about 2008.
Well, those, yes. This was something different. This was a Youngblood. This was a fan thing he drew for Titans Talk. That was an early Youngblood, connecting it to Teen Titans in a way that I don't think had been prior revealed. But it's not like it's in the Megaton trade. So you have the Megaton trade, you have access to it. But I don't think he wants it known big time. Like there's some things
no extra attention drawn to it.
Yeah. It's like how he forgets, like he was drawing Youngblood #1 for himself. And then he was changing Youngblood #1. This is the 1992 version. The Shaft part, he changed it into a Titan story and then changed it back to Youngblood. There's a reason, like you've heard that with the Youngblood #1 supposed to be a Teen Titans pitch. But it was actually more Youngblood #1 first. And then he changed it to that, which is something very interesting. I took a Berserker's pitch and changed it into my own. I just took my own characters and put them into that story. Don't let anything get wasted. Nothing gets wasted.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see some of this. Like, there's 3 issues, it would appear, of Imperial that are done or mostly done.
Right.
So that would be like, he could put that stuff on Whatnot and it would sell like hotcakes. Like,
everything.
Robert Kirkman, Liefeld, Marat Michaels.
Kirkman wrote 3 issues of Supreme Sacrifice.
Gee, what?
Yes, Kirkman, 3 issues.
I didn't know
Supreme
this.
Sacrifice.
Like,
yeah, so I'm super curious about that.
So the backup story in Supreme Sacrifice was meant to be a teaser for a comic he was going to do called, what's it called? It's gone out of my head. You know what I'm talking about, though. Because there's like pages of that comic on the Kickstarter page for Brigade. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, Youngblood The Assembled?
The Assembled, that's it. It was just called The Assembled as far as I was
initially, aware. It was initially The Assembled, and then 5 years later it became Youngblood The Assembled.
But yeah, that in the back of Supreme Sacrifice, that there was like a story that was meant to be a teaser for The Assembled, and then it seems like most of the ideas for The Assembled ended up in Brigade, and I mean, I don't know where we're going from there, but The Assembled is kind of a web of conspiracy of the Extreme Universe.
There's stuff in The Assembled I think got into Last Blood. If you have good ideas, like The Assembled got stopped because of Bloodsport initially. In fact, it's funny because he was doing The Assembled because he was super inspired by The Authority. He really loved Mark Millar, Frank Whiteley Authority. He starts talking about The Assembled. It's like, Dad, this is my adult. Bad-Rock's maturing and he's getting his rocks off. Haha. Because I guess Bad-Rock discovers masturbation. Like that was his very hardcore R-rated Youngblood. And then he ends up hiring Mark Millar and goes even crazier. And then Marvel steals him away from that for the X-Force series. So it's just, and then he goes back to The Assembled. He calls it Youngblood The Assembled. That's when he has those Mike Caprati pages. The ones with Brick and Blind Shaft and Professor Knight without the cape. They're all colored. They're all painted by Mike Caprati. I don't think you were here
they're gorgeous.
Yes. We were talking about UPS earlier, Chris, before you were on. And but the artist of my comic, I've known since I was 13, he works at UPS. But we also work with Dexter Weeks. Dexter Weeks is a professional comic book colorist. He actually colored some of Evangeline with Owen Gianni.
Okay.
And he's just another UPS worker. And we used to work with Mike Caprati at UPS, same UPS. He's gone on to do video games, but he's painted Liefeld Deadpool covers, the Youngblood, the Assemble, the cover to Youngblood 9 with Die Hard kind of swooping down that Rob used for a banner for years.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, it was just this little circle of art talent at my direct UPS building. It was just kind of fun.
I've been talking about this for a while. This idea of like the Youngblood bad future conspiracy, wherein there are so many bad futures. If you pay attention to like every Youngblood thing.
Oh, I did.
It's connected. There are dots. You end up doing that like meme, and like it was first put onto me by Chris, because Chris did a couple of cool, really good articles on Last Blood and how there's a bunch of different bad futures. You can look at Nitrogen, you look at Rejects, the Assembled, Brigade, Last Blood, and like obviously the new Youngblood is kind of going post-apocalyptic. It's all connected.
And the big three, which is Extreme 3000, Extreme Genesis, and Century. You know, Extreme 3000, he was going to do a whole series of books, Prophet 3000, Youngblood 3000. We're 1,000 years in the future. I think Supreme controls the Earth. I think Youngblood is his army, and the Newmen are the rebels. But then when he does Youngblood Genesis, and by the way, Extreme 3000 was solicited. When he does Youngblood Genesis for Maximum Press, it's Supreme's, that's at 20 years in the future. Supreme's in charge. I think Newmen are his guard, and Youngblood are the rebels. And then Century is about Supreme being in charge. And it's also it's 100 years in the future, but it's more of like a Legion of Superheroes type of thing. And also, Mark Miller's Supreme pitch. Supreme's in charge. Youngblood are his acolytes, like his apostles. But I forget who's the rebels in that story. So it's always based around Supreme being in charge.
And then
This kind of feels like the Airborne thing. I wonder if a lot of that's going to get repurposed now with just Airborne rather than Supreme.
Also,
knowing that he'll
eventually
have a hold on the ownership.
Eventually, he was also meant to go in that direction, with Supreme declaring himself God.
Yes.
And then the other Supremes, his apostles.
Yes, there was a
Or
couple
angels?
pages. Did it come out or not? Since I'm friends with Dexter Weeks, I have the next 3 issues of Evangeline that weren't published.
They came out digitally.
They put them on Keepsake, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think 2 are by Owen Gianni. One's by Steve Sestilli, who drew Coney Ways for Dexter Weeks. And then John DeHenry drew the last couple pages with Supreme in it, which your shirt's John DeHenry, isn't it? Chris, your shirt, is that John DeHenry? Or
I don't know who did it.
Okay. John DeHenry drew a Captain Tootsie Mighty Man fight for Big Bang Comics that Larson also reprinted in the back of Savage Dragon. John DeHenry's been doing some work for her. That's why, like, it's just funny. He did that Supreme epilogue in that Evangeline issue you're talking about. But he does stuff for Larson right now.
No, I got this from the Tootsie Roll site.
Did you? That's, all right. Obviously, it's not the best quality. I can't quite tell. So maybe that's more of a traditional 1940s Captain Tootsie.
What's funny is it does have a copyright on it, but it's from like a decade ago.
Oh, that's funny. Because Larson just fair use. He's just a character in Dragon, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because, like, obviously, Hairborn, Youngblood has a connection to Hairborn with Vandal.
Yes.
And then there's the Echo 92 squad and the Resistance and like all of those books. You know, Cash Carter's coming back.
Right. Defiance has a Vandal in it.
Yeah, it's all kind of. It seemed like he was doing like an Extreme 2.0 for a little while, and then that just sort of didn't go anywhere.
It was just everything he didn't have rights to. He went and created something else to. Echo 92, Youngblood, Airborne Supreme. You're right. There's so much more that we don't even know. He's gotten better at not telling us stuff because he used to tell us everything, and that's why we have such huge list of things that weren't unpublished. You know,
right? Yeah,
like he's got 2 issues of Evangeline drawn for the new series. Do you remember a couple of years ago he was looking for an artist for a Glory project that never came through?
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, I am having a blast here, but I also have to get up in like 5 hours. So what I'm going to suggest is, and I've never done this before, but I'm going to suggest it because I'm having such a good time, that we do a part 2 at some point. We just come back to this because, like, Rob, I'm having a blast talking to you.
Absolutely.
You know, and I feel like I want
you guys are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd like to do some more of this at some point. So I think we will do our recommendations.
Cool.
And then we'll come back. Maybe we'll do like maybe we'll because we were going to do a combined Youngblood, Giant Size Youngblood, and Bad-Rock issue 1 episode, but maybe we'll separate them and we'll give you Giant Size Youngblood, like the original promised issue that you were given, and we'll pick this conversation back up because you are just a fountain of knowledge on this subject, and I want more, and I feel like the audience is going to want more.
I love having people that respond to this because usually my friends can only take so much of this, and my wife, none of this. She does not.
Yeah. My wife's upstairs waiting to get into the kitchen to make lunch. Yeah.
Okay. Chris, do you want to go first?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the ways I've interacted with Rob here on in the internet is on Twitter. When I kind of started up from my website and putting it up, he was going in and doing, it was at Maximum Supreme, where he was doing page by page the story of Supreme through all issues and other appearances and getting that down. So with that as my inspiration, my suggested issue is Supreme #2. And the reason I'm going with this, and the reason it's a collector's gem in my mind, is pages 2 and 3, where we get Supreme is looking at, he's thinking of everybody that he's met since he's come back, and it is a 2-page spread of essentially every character that was available at Image at the time. So anybody that's looking to get every Wildcats appearance or every Spawn appearance or it's Savage Dragon. It's one of those books that has everybody in it. So everybody, it's outside of just being an extreme collectible, it does fit into everybody else's as well. It's another great example of that early Malibu era Image before they struck out. And I don't know, man, I dig it. I think it's if obviously anybody listening to this is going to be into what it is, but because of that Twitter feed, I wanted to pick something from Supreme. And once I was flipping through and I saw the 2-page spread, I'm like, oh, that's the one I got to call out.
That's all. That's a really good issue. I remember not liking the pages that Liefeld did not ink. Brian Murray was like, you could tell the difference, right away. And I love Brian Murray's coloring. Like if I could get Brian Murray to color the comic I'm working on right now, like that would be great. I mean, I hurt Dexter's feelings, but
I wonder if his style is still the same. Have you seen like current work from him? I'm not sure that I've seen.
I think he does all movie work and stuff like that. So I don't think he's like, and I think him and Rob didn't have, most people who worked at Extreme love Rob, and they will like it's like 99% of them like had a great time, the best time of their life. They never were paid better. Even people that argued with Rob and like really hated Rob still say, "Yeah, but it was the best time of my life, though." Like. Chris, I've run into, funny enough, Chris Ivy inked Supreme 3 and 4, and I was delivering at UPS, and I ran into him. I'm like, "Are you Chris Ivy?" Because I happen to recognize him. He was living in the town I was delivering to, and we just started talking. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, like I messed that up. Like he did some stuff that he regrets."
Sure.
But he loved working for Rob. Like, and he did really good work on Supreme. And Chris and Brian Murray needed an inker because I think there's 6 months in between Supreme 1 and 2. And
there were a lot in the early on Supreme, a lot of delays early Supreme.
But Rob did get his shit together, and eventually everything was hitting monthly. It was just that first year or two. I mean, there was 6 months between Pit 1 and 2.
Yeah.
See, you don't even know this. You don't know how bad it was, dude. It was because
it's so much more fun now collecting it and then doing a website going through because it all exists now.
It all exists. Yeah. Watchmen was late.
It's like watching something on streaming where you can binge rather than having to wait. Instead of a weekly TV episode, it'd be like the next episode comes out. Who knows? Like 4 months from now, you get the second episode.
But now that we're older, if you tell me there's a 6-month wait between Battle Beast 6 and 7, it's like I don't care because you're old. It goes like that. But when you're 15, 6 months is forever. That's half a school year. You know what I mean? You're just like it felt so much worse than it actually really even was.
One of my prized possessions is a copy of Miracle Man: The Silver Age when they finally started publishing it again, signed by Mark Buckingham, and I got him to sign it better late than never. To Leo, better late than never.
He
Mark
is such
Buckingham.
he is such a sweet guy. He did all the work for us over. He basically wrote that himself. I was a couple phone calls with Neil Gaiman. Yeah, no, I talked to him in Baltimore, and it's sad that I don't think we're ever going to get the Dark Age.
Yeah.
Even if he writes it himself, which may end up happening because nobody wants to work with Neil Gaiman currently.
Yeah.
I still want that book. Miracle Man is so important to me.
Yeah, me too. It's an all-time favorite of mine. I have a great affection for Miracle Man.
And a lot of people like that better than Watchmen. Alex Ross prefers Miracle Man over Watchmen.
I do too. I'll be honest with you. I think
I'm such a Superman pastiche guy. I agree. Give me variations upon Superman. I'll read it every time.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my recommendation.
Blood Hunter.
Cabot Blood Hunter. So this is pretty deep in the weeds extreme. Only one issue released, although there is like a serialized issue 2 in the backs of some Supreme issues. But what's interesting about this is this was Rick Veitch, who recently completed a very, very, very delayed comic. But his idea was to try and do what Jack Kirby did for Jimmy Olsen, for Superman pal Jimmy Olsen, but for Bloodstrike. The idea was, what if I took this book and completely reinvented it and made it a mass market seller? Only he had the unfortunate time of being at Maximum Press, so that was never going to happen. Because Maximum Press didn't sell well, as far as I'm aware. I may be wrong about that. Rob, you would probably be the expert, but as far as I'm aware, the Maximum Press books didn't do quite as well as Image did, and so this stands as a kind of standalone. But it's an interesting kind of reinvention of the character, kind of a gothic horror take on Cabot. Cabot is probably my favorite Extreme character. I've got an affection for Cabot. He's a much more complex character than a lot of Extreme Universe characters get. Like, he's got so much depth. I think Tim Seeley did a lot of the work. There's that one issue of his Bloodstrike run that really just fleshes out Cabot as a person and what he's about. But this is a very different take than what Tim Seeley did with him. But it's an interesting one, and it is. I'm saddened that this didn't go anywhere, and unfortunately, Rick Veitch is one of the few people to have a really terrible experience working with Rob. So we're never going to see any more of this.
Yeah, he didn't have. It was a good relationship for a long time. I think they started arguing when Rob started reprinting Supreme, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not getting any money," and Rob's like, "We haven't made any money." Supreme. Rob Liefeld lost money on every issue of Supreme. Alan Moore did, except for like the first couple, because he was paying those guys a lot of money. So like when he reprinted it, he still hadn't recouped the money from. Yeah, Alan Moore's expensive.
Yeah,
that is a really good issue. I like that a lot. Rick Veitch's artwork is great.
Yeah.
I like that he pseudo retconned Thor taking out the Bloodstrike team rather than Supreme taking them out, like how it had originally done. Because at that point, Alan Moore was writing Supreme, and Supreme was 60s good Superman. He wasn't ego Supreme. And I like the Stephen Platt cover. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, if I ever see Rick Veitch again, which I used to see him on a regular basis, I should ask him what else I always ask him about what he was going to do for Supreme Year 3, because that's my obsession. Like, I've heard so many different takes on Supreme Year 3. But I should ask him like what he wanted to do with that. And I like that people like Tim Seeley and Michel Fife like created like that. They didn't get rid of that version of Cabot. Like, he's still around. He's like a clone, weird Frankenstein mishmash. And sometimes he could be him under the mask. Sometimes we don't know.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like the mystery of like modern Extreme. So it's like they haven't gotten rid of that version. We just don't exactly know where it is. Because it's Rob. And Rob, Rob does what Rob wants to do. I like Tim Seeley's version, and I like you guys read Michel Fife's, obviously.
Okay. The reason I haven't got to Fife's is because I haven't finished the original Bloodstrike run. I'm like a couple issues from the end, because like I said, I've been working my way trying to read every single issue, including like bizarre spin-offs and obscure books that ended up being owned by someone else and having almost nothing to do with Extreme. But I was like, I want to do everything, because I'm like, I'm just that kind of fan. I want to do everything, and that's meant that certain books that I feel like I should have read by now have just been kind of stalling because I've had like a million spin-offs before
That's,
that.
that's the way you do it, because when you finally get to his run, you'll appreciate all his Easter eggs and all. He did all the work for that book. He researched everything, and he did a phenomenal job. And after he was done, I posted this picture from Youngblood Imperial #2, and he's like, "God damn it, I didn't see that. Like that's the one thing I did." He goes, "How can there be something out there about Bloodstrike that I didn't know about?"
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
really
obviously
nice
you're
guy,
gonna have to play tribute to things. If you're going in and your numbering is 0, 23, 24, you have to be like doing fan service.
Wait a minute. So we found the answer to the question that happened in the other episode, because Marat didn't know where that page and how it ended up in the hands of Fife. And now we know it was you, Rob, who gave Fife because we were literally going, it's a mystery. How did that get in his hands? Because Marat was like, I didn't give it to him.
That's funny.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved.
Connecting dots.
Yeah.
That's what we love to do here. There's a lot of connecting dots for extreme stuff. One other story I want to tell real fast. I know we've been going. This will be like the longest episode. I had when Eric Larson announced he was leaving Supreme, I put together a pitch for Supreme. Like it was a really I should share it with you guys. It's a really good and a pretty good Supreme pitch. And then I went down to SPX and I was talking to Tom Sholey, who I've been friends with for 24 years. Like I said, that's the only interview Mark and I had done on our podcast is with Tom Sholey. And I said, hey, I hear Eric Larson wants to use you in his last issue of Supreme, because originally it was going to be an 80-page giant. He goes, and Eric Larson was going to have you draw the lion version of Supreme. And Tom Sholey's like, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, Eric Larson wants to use you. He goes, he didn't even ask me yet, which is also funny because Image wanted Sholey and Larson to do Profit for that Extreme 2012 launch initially. And he's like, they never asked me about that either. They just assumed I was going to do it. And he's like, I would have done both, but it's just funny. I didn't even know about it. So I was telling him Larson's leaving and I'm going to pitch it. And he's like, oh, really? Interesting. And then like within a couple of weeks, he went and pitched the Supreme. And recently, Eddie, he put up this really cool image of Supreme in like this weird robot mech armor.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it's amazing.
And then he sent me his pitch last year. And it's like it's a huge, his Supreme pitch is incredible. It's really cool. And he used part of it in Satan Soldier, but not like all of it. Satan Soldier. You ever read Satan Soldier?
I don't know.
I have not. No. I was aware that he used some of it, so it was like in the back of my mind, like I need to read that because I was fascinated by that Supreme pitch because I haven't seen it, but I'd love to.
He did a series of mini comics called Satan Soldier. I think you can get I could send you a PDF if you remind me, because I'm horrible at sending stuff out. But I have a PDF of it, and it's his take of like a evil Superman versus a good Superman. It's very like when you read it, you go, I don't know where your Supreme's coming from. I don't know how this goes, but it's his Supreme pitch, and then he turned it into his own thing, which is what you do.
It's a shame about the last issue of Larson's run because like the artwork is not his usual standard. To put it diplomatically,
24 hours. He basically treated that like a 24-hour comic.
Oh, that explains the rough nature of that issue.
And then I pitched Supreme like 3 times. The second time I pitched it, the first time was that one. I just got like a thumbs up from Rob. The second time I pitched it, he's like, oh, I like this. He goes, yeah, we'll talk about it. He showed you, I've seen him at a convention. And within 2 weeks of him telling me we're going to talk about it, the Andrew Rev thing goes down. I'm like, no, like I might have actually, maybe.
Yeah. Oh.
And then the third time I pitched it, when he relaunched Youngblood, he's like, I can't read this, Rob. I'm sorry. He goes, I can't read it. So hopefully I might go see him up at he's doing 2 conventions on the East Coast. One at Third Eye Comics in Maryland, another one up in Long Island. And I'm thinking about taking the drive up to Long Island. He actually chastised me for maybe not going on his Whatnot show. He's like, oh, your wife's not going to let you go? I'm like, you son of a bitch.
See, you're interested. Do you ever do the NY Comic Con? I think the tickets went today.
Yeah, what a pain in the butt, dude. I was on queue for 44 minutes. I was actually worried. My friend got through in like 2 minutes. I was in queue for 40. Yeah, I'm doing New York. I'll be there Friday and Saturday.
I'll see what tickets are on after this.
I was trying to persuade Marat to come to London to do MCM because he was like, I've never been to the UK before. I was like, come down. I'll take you to the restaurant I reference in every episode somehow.
Yeah, Murat's so cool.
Yeah, he's always at that hot flips table, and I always have to go. There's always a cover out each year that he does that I need to get from in one fashion or another. So it's always one of my first.
I've probably seen you there. You know, if you ever see a guy like once Rob shows up at New York, I'm like his picture guy. Like I just hang out with him, bullshit with him, take all his pictures. You know, because
I did do one of the picture events, although I don't need to do that every time. That seems excessive. I don't. I don't need a VIP package each time I go. But
that adds up.
Yeah.
I was gonna see Kevin Eastman, but it was like 75 quid for a remark, and that was like half of my con budget. And then I was like going back and forth. I was like, I want to do it, but I don't know, but I want to do it. And then all of them were gone. So I was like, okay, that's decided for me, I guess.
The time I met Eastman, I did get a Donatello drawing from him. You know, I've been doing this for so long. People used to give sketches for free.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a free signature from Tula.
Oh yeah. Tula Lote.
Yeah, because she was painting. She was like, "Give me a minute, and I'll give you a signature." She's painting, and it's like 5 minutes go by. She's like, "Why are you still here?" And it's like, and then she was like, "Look," she's like, "Oh, the signature." And then I was like, "Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with a remark," because she was like one of the last people I got to. Okay. And then she drew this lovely remark of Diana, you know, from Supreme on my copy of Blue Rose, and then she goes, "Oh, you had to wait a while. You can have it for free."
That's sweet.
She was really nice. I did ask her to go on the pod, but she was like 8 people have asked me to be on podcasts in the last few weeks. She's like, I just can't. So I tried. Fair. I try to be a good producer, but you know, I can't always win.
I haven't asked Rob yet. I know he'd say yes, but it's like, I don't know. You know what it is? You don't want to, like, when you're friendly with someone, you don't want to push it. Like, I'm not.
No.
Like, do I want a cover from him? I do. Will he give me one? Yeah, probably. I just hate asking.
Yeah.
You know? I almost wanted to offer
I get that.
Like, if you could offer it, then it would be so much easier to do it. Like, like Tom Sholey said he'll do a cover. Rich Woodall, I don't know if you know him. He does a bunch of independent comics. Johnny Ray Gunn.
Gun Ray? Yeah. Ray Gunn. Yeah.
Ray Gunn. Yeah. Super nice guy. Like I've known him for years. Like Dave Bullock offered to do me a cover. He's an animator, much in the style of he used to work with Darwin Cook a lot. He does Batman the Animated Show and all that stuff. So like I never try to ask, but like John Stinsman offered me a cover. By the way, John Stinsman's a really nice guy. He lives a town over from me. So
really?
Yeah.
Once I reach Evangeline, because it's like the problem with a lot of these people is because I've got so much to read, and I'm trying to do it in order. Because it's like when I was talking to Joe Keating, he was like, "Oh, I'll happily put you in touch with Brandon Graham. You can." But I'm like, I haven't read his Prophet, and I have to do that. You know, I know it's a beloved run,
and you might have to read it more than once.
But the reason I haven't read it is because I want to get it in single issues because the collections don't come with the short stories. Because there's a short story at the end of every issue, and you've got like Daniel Warren Johnson's first ever interior art, and you got all these crazy stories. And I was like, I don't want to miss out on them, so I want to get them in singles. And Chris is going to help me out. He's got a couple of issues I'm missing.
Yep.
And it's like I'm just trying to put together this run, and then I'm going to read it, and then I can go to Joe and be like, okay, I'm ready now. Could you put me in touch? And then we can have Brandon on. But like, I don't want to be like, oh, you know, I haven't actually read your run. But
no, I'm so glad you guys are doing this show. And like, it couldn't be two better guys to do it. Like you being young and into this, and Chris having the knowledge. Like it's just it's a smart move. Like every once in a while, like I like Chris. I like your site a lot, Chris. Now that I'm old, I forget stuff. I'm like, I used to know everything, and I literally knew everything. And then now I'm like, I'll go on Chris's site. It's all written down now. Like I don't have to.
Yeah, that Martin had. I guess Martin had has a whole article, and he was like, "Go look at it." And I still haven't read through the entire thing because it is a detailed history of the entire universe, and then like each new revamp of it. Like it is crazy. The next generation that just has all of this like documented out so well on the internet. The reason I started the website was because of legacy numbering in 2012. And it's like, so what fills in the middle there? Never mind getting to 100. I was trying to figure out how we got to 70, whatnot, in Youngblood.
I first posted to Rob years ago. I said, hey Rob, I said if you add up all your Youngblood issues, and this is before like Team Youngblood and Youngblood Strike File, if you just straight up add up Youngblood, I said you're about at issue 50. He goes, Rob, I'm so much beyond what you're thinking. Next year you'll find out. And that's when he did the Youngblood 71. And I'm like, that's cheating. But you know what? It's technically a young. I get what you're doing. It's cool.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a cheat, but it's not a cheat. You know, but just regular Youngblood issues were adding up to 50. I thought that was a more cool, you know, thing. But you know what? Hey, it's Rob's company.
My hot take there is extremely Youngblood. It's not the cover looks like it's a parody comic because they get like suction cup dart gun or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Inside is kind of like the X-Men babies,
Yes.
the Mojo World X-Men youths is kind of story, but it's just as violent as anything else. And if there are multiple universes and everything counts, I feel like that counts as a Youngblood issue, as opposed better than Battlezone issues do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I do love that second Battlezone though. You got some great artists for that.
Isn't George Perez there? I think
George Perez too. You got two in there.
Yeah.
You know what? What do you think was going to be the cover, the George Perez cover to 100?
My guess was that giant spread that George Perez did.
The Extreme Universe one?
Yeah.
One of the two Youngblood ones.
No, the Extreme Universe, like every character of the Extreme.
Yes.
You know, the one with Supreme kind of flying at the camera.
Very
I
much
think
so.
he was going to do a wraparound. That was my guess.
That's so weird. It almost would have to fold up. It's such a big image.
But it's like I've never seen it in anything official. It just exists. I don't know where it even comes from.
It was a print. It was a print.
Oh,
that
okay, it
was
was
for
a
sale.
print. Okay, that makes sense.
I went and scanned it, had my friends stitch it together. So if you, again, anything you guys want, let me know. But
Yeah.
Because that was my screensaver for like a year. Was like that big image. And you know what's funny? Is real front in the bottom of it is Warcry, a Danny Miki character. That's like he gets like front and center at the bottom. Like that's a lot of room for a character that shows up on a cover and like one backup. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what that George Perez, because Rob said that he's going to put it in 101, so we'll see. Hopefully, I know Donny Cates dropped out at the last minute, because Rob kind of he kind of weaved around it. He was like, a couple of artists dropped out at the last minute, and it's like there's only one cover missing. So I guess I know which artists dropped out at the last minute.
You know what would be fun? Before he got the Image founders to do it, I would have liked to have seen him go back and grab like all the main Youngblood artists, like Derek Donovan, John Malin. John Malin will drop everything in the world to go do Youngblood.
Yeah.
Like I talked to him last year at Baltimore, and he's like, "Yeah, Youngblood's my favorite. I'll stop doing my comic to go do Youngblood." Like that's how important. And this is before Rob announced the relaunch. Like he's obsessed by it. Derek Donovan, super nice guy. You know, Roger Cruz. You know, that's a personal favorite.
But yeah, we'll wrap up for today. But yeah, it's like, but yeah, this whole thing is just about providing a community for Extreme fans.
Yes.
You know, I founded r/Bad-Rock with another Extreme Universe fan. We now have 300 members. You know, I kind of obviously Rob has his Marvel Extreme and Beyond group, but I kind of wanted a space free from Rob's ban hammer. I was talking to Murat about it, and Murat was like, "I think he would ban me if I gave him the opportunity."
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and it's like I don't know a single Extreme fan aside from myself who hasn't been banned by Rob.
I've never been banned, but I've been like, take that down, or what I mean. Like, he'll correct me like a kid. I'm like,
yeah.
Him and I got an argument over a piece of Otley Youngblood cover, and I clearly was the belief that it was an older cover. He's like, no, he drew that then. I'm like, okay, I'll take it down, but then I'm gonna go talk to Ryan in Baltimore next year.
But yeah, you know, I wanted to. I mean, it all started with just like me posting on the Image forum my 4-part series, Liefeld Interrupted, where I count every single unfinished Extreme Universe series,
which is super interesting to us, but almost comes off like a slam.
Yeah, I mean, it was a neutral thing. Like I wasn't making fun. I was like, people always say, how many are there actually? And the number is 48. 48 unfinished Extreme Universe series. And counting.
We were talking with Murat about that, where you kind of reach where art meets business, right? And where business stops, or if it's something's not selling and you pivot, like there's lots of reasons why.
But yeah. I mean,
like,
look,
real, yeah.
some of the stuff
Yes.
will get completed hopefully one day, and some of it probably won't.
I
But
think-
it is what it is. You know?
I feel like there's an opening right now where like everything could be completed. You know,
I
he brought up he had the Dooms 4 comic by Keith Giffen.
I was going to bring that up. I completely forgot. I was going to bring that up because I want to know if you knew about it.
Michel Fife didn't know about it. I was telling him, I'm like, you should color that, and he's like, I should color that. Like if I could put things together sometimes, you know, if I could, I'd gotten Gene Ha when Gene Ha first came around. He made a big stink that he was a big Alan Moore fan. I'm like, you know, you should go work for Awesome and do something for them. And then I think he was going to be someone else. He was actually friends with Brandon Peterson, and Brandon Peterson went and told him the same thing. So when Brandon Peterson was about to do Glory, Liefeld was going to do The Allies, if you remember this.
Yeah.
Rob was going to draw the first 3 issues, and then he said he had another artist picked out to follow up after him. And I think that artist was going to be Gene Ha.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because simultaneously, when ABC launches, Gene Ha's drawing Top 10, which originally was pitched to be drawn by Steve Scrooge. Steve Scrooge went to Marvel instead. I love that stuff.
Okay, I like I said, I need to get to bed.
Yeah,
soon,
you get to work. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm enjoying myself so much, and that's why I said we need to do a part 2 of this. But I've literally got 5 hours and 6 minutes before I'm getting up again.
Gotcha.
So I need to do that. But yeah, it was great talking to you. I look forward to the next episode where we do this.
If you don't mind, I hate to be the plug guy.
No, plug away.
Let me just real quick. The Maximum Supreme at Twitter. I took a little break because I'm working on something special. I found the script for Terry Moore's Lady Supreme #4, which is not good, by the way. So I think me and my friend are just trying to make a 2-page, like kind of a here's what would have happened in Lady Supreme #4. The at Rob Messick on Twitter. You know, I'm just constantly trying to find new Youngblood stuff, and eventually I'm going to go to Olive Extreme. So you're going to see even more stuff. And I am doing a Kickstarter within the next month of this book called The Maniacs, which is kind of like my 90s pastiche superhero team. I don't know if you can see the foil card. If I see you guys in person, I'll give you one. My biggest fan of this is like Michel Fife. He's like, he goes, I can't wait for this book. I said, all right, I'll give you one. He goes, no, you're not going to give me one. I'm going to buy it. And when someone says that to you, it really makes you feel good. Like, like I would just I would give all my friends a copy, but like he's so hardcore about the industry. I respect that. You know, so it's I'm on Awestruck Comics on Facebook, where you can see previews of the book and my other parody stuff from the past. Awestruck's the overall brand of like, it's the name of the podcast, it's the name of my Facebook page. It's just what I want to be in the industry. But like, it's funny because as you get older, time goes by so fast. Like I should have been doing this 20 years ago, but you know, life happens.
Yeah.
So my kids are more adult.
We're here now.
Yeah, we're here now. So that's my plugs. I hate to. I feel disgusted even saying it like that.
Okay.
Like,
It's
no. Yeah, I remember seeing the posting on that Facebook page of that was coming up. Is the Kickstarter? When does the Kickstarter go live?
We were trying to get the pre-launch this week, but you know, life. So hopefully we'll have the full Kickstarter up by July.
Awesome.
That's kind of the goal. I want to get it done over the summer. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if I've been paid by the time if there's a window wherein I've been paid and your Kickstarter's still going, you'll have
I got to pay you. Oh man. You pay me, Rob. We talk about it on the show.
Yeah. No, but we'll throw in some promotion for that one. We do.
Yeah, because your 50 viewers may be different from my 50 viewers. So.
Yeah.
And that's actually a better thing when you get to 100. Yeah,
that's right. We actually brought this up on my show today, so hopefully people go follow me here.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know when this episode is going to be out, but we'll see how it goes.
No, that's what it's all about, man. It's all about helping each other out.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to come on your show at some point. Me and Chris can.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
You'd be our first guest, other than Tom Sholey.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay. So that is the end of another great episode. So it's goodbye from me.
Yeah. Till next time.
No. Thanks for having me,
Yep.
guys.
Keep on bad rocking.